But I also think he kind of fits as like a true 3-4 defensive end as well, which is what the Lions are looking for. So stylistically, I just think it made sense. It all kind of lined up here to bring him back. And I think he found his home. I'm sure Miles Adams wanted to be back because he hasn't been able to find a consistent landing spot. So welcome back, Miles Adams. I'm assuming it's a minimum deal and a 1-year deal. That being said, we do have Eazy in the building. Eazy, I see you. Okay. Hey, do you got to set some stuff up? Okay, you do your thing. Easy's here, though. We're going to have Eazy at some point get on. And we want to talk about Trey Hendrickson. Well, I want to talk about Trey Hendrickson because we haven't really dove into this, but I've seen the comments. Actually, what got me to doing this is today I've seen across the internet, like all these articles about Trey Hendrickson and the trade happening. And, we had the Zadarius Smith cut, which obviously opened up cap space for this season, but also for next season, which was the key there. And we also got the contract details, some of them. We got some contract details from Derrick Barnes, not from DJ Reed yet. That's the one that we're waiting to play out. And that's going to be the big one because that's such a big contract. The Derrick Barnes one's is super interesting because his cap number this year is $3.6 million. It's $10 million for the next 2 years, and there's really no out in his contract until the final year, but you're not saving money even if you cut him in the final year. So that one they're really locked into with Derrick Barnes. We usually don't see that. There's a lot of guarantees there, which I'm okay with, but it's a different setup. And if you look at those deals they give in Marcus Davenport's cap, it's less than $2 million this year. We were told initially it was up to $4.75 million. $2 million is sent to be in just straight incentives for Marcus Davenport, which makes the deal look a lot better on the surface for the Lions. Like, all right, they got him at a pretty cheap price. Like this feels like the Charles Harris contract the first time around. That's what it really feels like now, especially with those kind of incentives, which I'm sure is based on playing time, but it's not even, I don't even think they're expected that he's going to hit those bonuses. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But when you look at the numbers that the Lions actually set here, they have a lot of cap space still right now. They have a lot of cap space for 2025 still. It's the future years that we always talk about and discuss. And that's something I want to kind of dive into a little bit, to look at the future years, to look at 2026, to look at 2027 and the impact that Trey Hendrickson, a trade, would actually have, because that's where things get a little bit messy. Myles Garrett getting the massive deal he got, Max Crosby getting the massive deal he got. If you keep in mind, you look at the guarantees that those guys got as well. Like Max Crosby got $106 million. I think that was his total number. $91 million was guaranteed. So the idea of bringing in a Hendrickson is likely you're going to have so much guarantees because he also for this year doesn't have any guarantees on his contract. So I would assume you're going to have to guarantee a ton of his new deal. And we're going to talk through kind of maybe what would be the best spot to do it. Because this morning I was like, hey, let me watch a little Trey Hendrickson, right? We talked about it. I know he's super productive. He led league in sacks last year. He also led league in pressures. And about half of those pressures he had in under 2.5 seconds, which also led the league. So the stats are fantastic. But I always wondered about Hendrickson because, first off, it gives you a weird vibe when the dude's not wearing gloves. We just got to start there. He doesn't even wear gloves. So right there, I'm like, wait a minute, this might be a little awkward. But no, outside of that, I wanted to see, is this going to translate as a run defender? I want to get better against the run. Does this fit with Aiden Hutchinson? And watching it this morning, I think there's definitely things that fit. I think there's concerns. We're not concerns, but there's reasons that he wouldn't be the highest paid edge defender, even with the kind of production that he did have. But the immediate thing that stands out is by position that he plays. He plays the opposite position of Aiden Hutchinson. So on paper, you could line the two opposite each other and it'd be natural for both sides there. So he wears no gloves. It's weird looking. It is weird. It makes it look like he's got tiny hands, which I think he kind of does. But that works for, it's kind of cool though. It's like the old school, the receivers that wear no gloves. It's kind of nice to see it. You're like, all right, this guy's kind of built different. Like Dan Campbell's looking at that like, wait, he don't wear gloves? Hold up. That might be our guy. So I want to show some clips because I did save some. I went through 3 of his games this morning. I always like to look at the teams that are good or the teams that have good offensive tackles. So Washington, Philadelphia, even though Philadelphia had a backup tackle, which kind of stinks. So we couldn't see him against the starting offensive lineman there. But I went through 3 games this morning. And I got to be honest, man, I walked away like, all right, this dude's a dog. I get it. He is a dog. It's more about the contract situation. But before we get fully into it, that was weird. You froze in the back end for me, so you were just stuck like this. I don't know how long you were holding that pose, Eazy. Eazy, how you doing, though, man? It's good to have you on.
Dion, I'm good, man. I'm good. There's once upon a time I was facing some backlash because I sought out maybe a little bit of an issue in the Detroit Lions locker room, that issue being named Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and I faced a lot of backlash for it. I did, but over time, true colors have showed themselves and have prevailed. And CD Deuce has been traded for a 5th-round pick and a backup lineman to the Houston Texans. So,
So you think there was a little bit something going on there that was?
I called for the shot. I was like, hey, let's get this guy off the team. We're done with this one. We're good.
Does this look better? This looks kind of scary. Maybe we don't do that. I don't know about that. I thought maybe it looked better. I feel like I need a background for this. Let me throw a background on here. Yeah, so, okay, I want to start here. Before we go to the Hendrickson thing, I just want to build it out a little bit. Ify Melifonwu signed this morning, 1 year, $4 million with Miami.
Yeah.
My thought seeing that is I don't think it was the Lions weren't willing to pay it. I think it's that he didn't want to come back. I don't think it's because he hated us. I think that's because he's going to get an opportunity to start. Javon Holland just signed right before he signed. So my guess is like immediately I see it and I'm like, 4 million. Why did we bring him back? Like these dudes are signing a ton of money. I feel like that's underpaid, even though he hasn't really played much. So I guess I get it. But I think it was probably that he's like, yeah, I'm not coming back. The Lions are probably like, yeah, it probably doesn't make sense because you don't really have a starting outlook here. With Miami, you prove yourself, you're going to get a long-term deal there. That's not really on the table here. So from that case, I think that's how that shook out. What'd you think about that deal?
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. Also could be the injuries. I think regardless for the Miami Dolphins, I don't know who the coordinator is and anything like that, but like I think that's a phenomenal signing for them because when that guy's healthy, when that guy's in the field, he's a dog. But no, that does make a lot of sense. You know, obviously, even coming back here, even if it was for a little bit more money, he wouldn't have gotten the long-term deal that you might get following a good season with Miami Dolphins. So that makes tons of sense.
I feel like it would put him in a tough spot to get a long-term deal even after this year. Because like how much you would have been basically after banking on an injury. It's like, and even if you do well here, like I know that extension is probably not coming here, so it's got to come somewhere else. So you might as well get out of the building now when you can, I guess. But I'm with you, man. I think what Javon Holland signed 15 a year, he's not even coming off a great season. If he's healthy, dude, they might have gotten better at safety. Like Holland had a stretch of great seasons, but they could have. At very least, they might have the same type of player. I think that might end up being a huge steal, but that's just because we know Iffy well,
especially for the price.
It's a great price, man. Safeties are getting so much. Trayvon Merrick signed a massive contract, and this dude hasn't really popped in the NFL yet.
Yeah.
Iffy's price point's crazy. So if he did wear gloves, that is true. Okay, before we get to the Hendrickson thing,
yes,
I wanted to ask you because I mean we had Dan Skipper coming back. Any thoughts on Dan Skipper coming back? I don't know if you've probably talked. I mean that happened last night. So
yeah.
Thoughts on that and anything on Miles Adams?
Detroit Lions get a red zone threat back in that offense, and I think that's
true.
It's important.
I didn't even bring that up.
No, but I think it was kind of weird that it happened before free agency, to be honest with you. But it's not a big contract. It's like congrats to Dan Skipper, more thing for me. I'm happy for him.
Yeah. I was wondering if we were gonna lose him. Like to be honest with you, like if someone was gonna be like, yo, because I don't know, he's in a weird spot. Like I can see where you don't see him as a starter, but it's like he did play bad when he started last year. Like he was actually kind of good. It was like, wait a minute, maybe somebody. Nah, the tackle group's good enough this year for that not to be the case. But I'm assuming that number comes in easy. That's not a minimum deal. I'm guessing that's like $2 to $3 million for a single season. I bet he got a nice little raise this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I don't know though, because at the same time, I don't know if anybody else is going to sign him. I think he probably ended up being another practice squad guy. I feel like Gio Manu in that role could almost like that sounds crazy. I don't even know if it's gonna be a role anymore without Ben Johnson, but like because he's more of an athlete than Dan Skipper. All due respect to Dan Skipper, obviously, but like Gio Manu in that same role would be kind of nasty. At least that's the way I envision that at some point when we have Ben Johnson here. What's up, Booner?
No, that's true. You know what though? We could use both because like I'm with you on that. For the 6 offensive linemen, I would rather see it be because I feel like even when Skipper goes in those spots, like it does feel shaky. Because I feel like you say he doesn't move that well, so you have to deal with a lot more space, and it feels like awkward. So maybe you use Manu for that, but Skipper. If I had to go to a backup tackle because I haven't seen Manu, I'm definitely going with Skipper right now. But hopefully that's Manu. And we look at this Hendrickson thing. Like I'm looking out the future years, like specifically 2027. That looks like that could be the year where, if there is a year, the Lions try to get to the next tackle. That could be the year that Manu has to become that dude. Like I feel like if there's a real timeline that feels like could be in place, that could be the year that the transition happens. So hopefully we at least get to see him at some point. I just want to see what it looks like. We don't even know, man.
I want to see the vision. I mean, I can only imagine it, and the imagination gets out of control with it because obviously it's he's a big dude, extremely athletic. I guess that's got to be it. That's got to be what they see too. I want to see it come to fruition because we gave a 3rd round pick up to do it. And that was crazy to me. Yeah. Give him a 3rd round pick to move up in the 4th round. It was gross.
We did, bro. And I just say that not a single person knew who he was when you drafted. That guy. What school does he play for? It was a search to find the school that he played for. Easy. Okay. It was almost on Tavai. Not as far. It was further than the Tavai level, but
dude, and honestly, that's why keeping Hank Fraley was so huge too, because like he's truly one of the best. And like you grab the obviously he hasn't played the best competition, but like those traits, you can't they're not falling off of trees, you know.
Right.
Shout out to Phil.
Hey, yo, shout out to the chat, man. We see y'all in here.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
I don't know where you stand on any of this Hendrickson thing. So let's just get right to it. But I want to start with the financial kind of idea, or not even financial, but just the whole trade idea.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go to let me just that way I can show it on the screen. I'll just share screen it. Because I lined this up how I'm thinking this is probably gonna go down based on what people are kind of expecting for Hendrickson. So if let's go through where we're at. He's gonna come in, and if you traded for him, this thing on here. His cap number is 16 million, right? So it's 16 million for this year, which I bring this up because this is affordable. Now, don't worry about these numbers. I've been messing with them. That's affordable because Eazy. I don't know. Have you seen the contract details on Derrick Barnes and the guys that they have like listed out there, like how they set these numbers? Have you seen any of those?
Yeah, I knew Barnes would be like 4 million, and then I know Davenport was like 1.7 in terms of like the cap hits.
Yeah, like the Barnes one was surprised. I'm gonna show those on the screen because these were kind of surprising. I know they usually like have the lower number up front, but they have a lot of money to mess around with still this year. It's like you do have to spend like a portion, like you can't roll over everything every year. But like seeing like the way they set this, man, like this thing is locked in, dude. This is locked in for 3 years, and it's a massive jump for the next 2 seasons. This would surprise me, but we heard it was a lot of guaranteed money, so I guess it does make sense. But like the base salary is a minimum deal. They gave him a minimum deal for year 1 on the base salary to make sure they had this kind of leftover cap. I got to assume also they have a pretty good sense that this cap number is definitely going to continue to take off because over the cap's projecting it like 7 to 10 million more next year. They must be projected like it's going 30 million more. Like it's going to just continue going that way rather than a slight jump. I think over the cap's pretty conservative with their numbers.
No, I'm with you on that one. It's honestly really like a 2-year deal. Although the savings isn't much if they decide to do so in the year 3. But like for all the people complaining, they're kind of like freaking out about it because of knee injury or like that he hasn't been an all pro or pro bowler like most of Brad Holmes draft picks. Like this is a 2-year little sample size of what has already proven to be a guy that constantly improves, a guy that's dedicated to being good and part of the winning recipe that they believed in because they're running it back clearly on defense.
Dude, I love Derrick Barnes, bro. I'm fired up that we got him back.
Yeah.
Like,
he's one of the only Sam on the team.
It's the only. Now I think Michael Pittman is the backup. Now, if I'm being honest, I think he could be the backup.
Because didn't he get picked up elsewhere as an end? Right? Did he play defensive end wherever he went after us? Yeah.
Yeah, Washington. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like that. Yeah, I think he might end up being the backup. But like, dude, Derrick Barnes is so bad. It's just the fact they didn't let him hit the market, which was interesting. They like jumped on it and they gave him so much guaranteed. But it's just interesting, man, because usually like there's a clear out to the point that you made where it's like, oh, they're going to save about $6 million at last year if they cut him. They're saving like nothing. Like they can do it, but they're not making any money. They feel pretty confident this dude's going to be here. But this contract it's not this much crazy about it. It's just the fact that the number you hear is obviously not what it's going to look like because $2 million in incentives are available here. $1.75 million is what it's set at right now. So they'll need some money left over as that goes forward. But this is like a super cheap contract. I didn't expect it to be this low, to be honest with you. I didn't expect the number to be this far down. This could end up being easily the steal that they have for you. This could be the Charles Harris steal that he was when he initially signed his prove a deal.
His contract was set up perfectly for his situation, and the high end of it is pretty dang high. Like I like Marcus Davenport a lot when healthy. I know we only got 2 games of it, but if you paid attention, at least if you were looking for it, you're interested to see like, hey, who's this guy we signed? You would, oh, damn. Okay, Brad, like this guy is a beast. This guy's a monster. Yeah. He's just powering through guys at the tackle position. Like, I mean, it was unreal, to be honest with you. And that's exactly what they want in defensive end. They want a guy. They want to collapse the pocket. They don't care about these shiftier, faster guys. If you pay attention, like the track record of the guys they've brought in, none of them weigh 265. They've all been like 270. And I guess Aiden's probably 265. So 265 and up, I'd say. They've always been bigger body guys that collapse that pocket. And Marcus Davenport is precisely what they want. It's just can he stay on the field? And that's why this deal's so heavily incentivized.
Yeah, Davenport he's weird, bro. It's like you don't see dudes like running over NFL players like he does. It looks messed up at times. It's like, yeah, this might be like the strongest defensive end, bro. When he's healthy, like for his weight, bro, he might be the strongest defensive end. It's like, I get it. Like, it makes sense.
And like,
with it.
don't forget, a good organization like the Saints traded up in the first round to grab him, so he's got that potential. He's not like a flash in
Dude,
the
he
pan
showed
type
it
of-
last year.
Mhm.
He showed, and to that point, it's like Charles was even different because when we signed Charles, it's like, all right, he was a first round pick back into the first round, but he really never showed it in the NFL. Marcus Davenport showed it for 4 years with New Orleans, and then he did it to 3 games with us, sort of, especially the LA Rams game. So it's
Yeah.
like he's done it easy. I'm still buying it. So
Yes.
I thought he was going to be long term. I'm glad that this happened because I still think he's going to be long term for us, and I'm glad that it's not the same injury that he had with Minnesota because then I'd be concerned.
Yeah,
I'd be
and you
real concerned.
watch
Like,
that happen in real
not
time. You watch his arm get chopped, and then it's not like a freak accident or like, I don't know. It was like one of those injury prone type of things. You watched him get hurt. If you watch the game, you can see it. He gets his arm chopped. He tried to come back. That's another thing I love about it too. Like, it's the dog in him to even try to come back. Like,
he did. He was playing out there with one arm.
yeah,
Go for it, man. I was like, bro, I thought that was huge. Him and Barnes kind of the same way. Like the way, I think it's like the way that the way that they went out on the year, like I thought mattered because it's like you didn't hear about like what's the future going to be. It was like none of that discussion, and like Davenport fighting to get back on the field. Like I feel like that dialed him in to come back. It was like, yeah, this dude's coming back because to your point, it's like this dude wanted to keep playing. I don't know how long they would have let him roll like that. Obviously, not much longer, but it's like he shouldn't have been out there when he was out. He should not have been out there. Dude was rushing with one arm. He was going like this. Yeah, I'm glad he's back. Let's go to the Hendrickson. Go ahead.
I just want one more thing on Derrick Barnes too, because I know a lot of people are like iffy on it, and we talk strictly about the contract. And I know you've probably talked about what he is on the field, but like what he is to this defense, we did not have last year. So I think a lot of people like don't even realize like what we're getting. We're getting an extra edge rusher, if you will. Like he's going to play in 5-man fronts. He played in the slot at times last year. Was knocking down screens. Like Derrick Barnes plays everywhere. This is going to be a plus. I promise you guys.
But Barnes is unique too because like we know him as that guy. You're saying he played in the slot, could play on the ball, but like he's a good backup to Jack Campbell. Like, we don't really have an actual backup to Jack Campbell. Yeah. Like when Jack's not there or they can play alongside each other, he's actually got like better at that too. Like he's gotten better everywhere. And I think the fact that he's with Kelvin Shepherd this whole time, I think that's massive because he's like the one guy that's like been a part of the entire roller coaster. Alex was too, but you knew what Alex was when he got here. Yeah. He's been part of like just trying to figure out like what position is going to work. And I think he's also one of the only, not the only, but like it's hard to find guys that consistently every year it feels like, oh, there's another step. Like you can legitimately watch Derrick Barnes last year versus his first year. This is a completely different guy. So like I don't have any concerns about it, like you're saying too. And then he didn't tear anything, so I don't know. I mean, sounds good to me, man. I'm glad he got that money.
MCL's a little. I tore my MCL at a wedding. Look at me, I'm fried as a chicken.
you still dancing and everything. Okay, hey, that's good insight though, Chad. See, this is why actually we had you on here. Can you please show us your MCL so that we can understand what?
that's OnlyFans content. Relax, dude.
Okay, see, I can't give that away.
Your MCL.
Link in the description. All right, no, hey man. So Trey Hendrickson, I want to look at this because first off, there's a trade package. Now I'll show some clips because he's a heck of a player, and I'll show my concerns. That way I can get everybody's thoughts here because I haven't heard your thoughts on this at all. I really haven't gotten my thoughts at all, to be honest, because I've heard the idea. Usually I shoot it down because I'm like, I can't do it financially. So my expectation is he has no guarantees. Let's say you take the $16 million. Lions financially can do that because they're not paying like anybody. We'll see what the Reed number comes in at. Maybe that one's different. Maybe that's super front loaded, but I doubt it. That's just not how they do things. So my guess is he might have like an $8 to $10 million cap of this year. So I don't think we're going to have any problem taking on a $16 million deal for this season. It's about the extension. And from what I've read, like production-wise, you can make the case that he gets paid up there with Garrett, $40 million. I don't think that'll be the case. Maybe he's more like, I want to play for a winner. We haven't heard that, though. Yeah. I think $30 million is a safe bet. 35 was max. Some people are saying that. I've also heard people say 25 to 27 million. I think that could actually make some sense because he is a little bit older. He's 30 years old. But also, as productive as he is, like, I want to believe that whoever's going to go after him and actually invest like that isn't just looking at the numbers and sacks and saying, all right, this is the best pass rusher. Like they're watching him and be like, I don't know if there's the full well-rounded package as like a Myles Garrett is to make him worth $40 million. Like I don't think he's that player even if he had more production this past season. So I'm going like to say this is like ultra conservative that he would take something like this. But like I was thinking about, okay, let's say it was 25 to 27 million, which some people were saying. So I'll just make it 26 million. And let's say it's a 2-year deal on top of what he's getting now. Most of that's going to be guaranteed. So the problem is there's not going to be any flexibility, I would assume, with his deal once you get to 2027. Hopefully they could. I mean, if you could get out of it and make this perfect, but there's probably not going to be. So those two things. Then you look at our financial situation. I think 2026 already easy. We're going to have to start restructuring, guys. And if you look at like how the contract is set up, this is why I think it's interesting with Barnes. One guy I would go to is, let me go to Ali McNeil. Ali McNeil is probably going to get restructured after the season. He has like a ton of restructured money available because the guarantees we gave him, like all of his guarantees are hitting first year of the new deal. And his cap number is only 6 million when they're actually hitting. But in the back end, you can see like they left so much. I mean, look at that. If you moved off him in 2026, you'd save 23 million with only 6 dead. There's no guaranteed salary here at all. So I would assume that he's going to get restructured for sure, even though that'll kind of kick this number back up again, which is the downside of that. So I think he's going to get restructured. And I think Jared Goff is going to get restructured because there's no way they're going to have him on a
Jared Goff $69 million.
There's no way they're having to play $70 million.
You're throwing 4 years. Yeah, no.
So those dudes are definitely going to get restructured. But then you also have Aiden Hutchinson. Now, they could – I think what they'd have to do is take the path of what they did with Sewell, because even though the 5th-year option right now is projected $20.8 million if they pick it up, which is super reasonable because Hutch will probably get 40+ a year, $20 million is reasonable. I think they may have to still lap it back into a new deal to make this make sense, to make the timelines work out. Because Trey Hendrickson, unless they push it all into 2027, because they really don't have that many guys under contract in 2027. So let's just say that he gets the 5th-year option picked up. Now he's at 21 million. I think it'd be best to kind of lap it back in if they were going to try to make this happen. Because then you get to 2027, and this would be the path to, I think, make this work. You would kind of have to anticipate this is the year we move off of Decker. We save 18 million by cutting him in 2027. This is the year that hopefully Manu or somebody else steps in as that spot. He would be the one key domino. I think Graham Glasgow would already be moved off of, and then David Montgomery would probably also be moved off of in that spot. And this is without knowing what the cap numbers are actually going to look like. But we wouldn't have a lot of dudes under contract. You'd have Hutch and you'd have Hendrickson. Then you'd have everybody else in between that's on rookie deals that are going to start to get paid. So from a financial, even going on the conservative side, easy. This holds me back, man. Like, I don't know how they make this make a ton of sense for 2026 and 2027. Like, you can do it if you just restructure a lot of these deals, which I think they're going to have to regardless. But I think if you don't have an out in 2027, you're putting yourself in a really dangerous spot. That's kind of my assumption here. And then we'll get to the player. What do you think about the whole cap side, just the cap side specifically?
Simply not happening because of that. Like, just offer it. Like, I like, before you even dive into the player, before we talk about how good he is, before we talk about what you don't like about him, like, just know how Brad Holmes approaches free agency to begin with. Like, a lot of people are freaking out because day one wasn't a lot of action. That's what it is with Brad Holmes. They're not going to give you day one action. He's straight up set. They're going to take care of their guys internally first before they look for external ads. And yes, they will go out and they'll plug holes externally, but it's never going to be a guy that is top 5 at his position in terms of just market value. Like, it's never going to be that type of guy. That's what Trey Hendrickson is right now. That's what Trey Hendrickson's looking for. He's leaving the Cincinnati Bengals because he wants a new contract. He wants more money. He doesn't want to go play for the Super Bowl. He's in that situation right now. He's played in a Super Bowl with this team. He wants money. And Brad Holmes before, and I could probably send you over Twitter if you'd like, but before he ended his presser at the Combine, he was talking about, we would like to have extra edge rushers, but we have to pay Aiden Hutchinson right now. And depends what it costs to get that guy. And then at the very end, Dave Burkett asked him point blank period, are we going to get another star edge rusher on this team? And Brad verbatim said, probably not. And shook his head and laughed off the podium. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, first and foremost, beyond just like, we're talking about just free agency paying guys. You're talking about a guy in Trey Hendrickson. You have to give up an asset to then pay this guy. It's just not simple. It's not going to happen. On top, that's before we even get to him as a player too, because the sack numbers are great. And that's why I love like Shamar Stewart and the draft. Everyone's like, what is production? Where's the production? It's not on production. You got to watch the film. Like, how's he getting it done? What's the context around the situation? Who's next to him? How's he getting these sacks? Is a tight end blocking them? Or is it because the Bengals are constantly scoring, so their teams are constantly in pass situations too? Like, I don't know, man. It's a lot of people see the sack numbers and then it just boom, Lion, make it happen. But it's not in reality. It's not based in reality at all, in my opinion. Sorry.
Okay, so let's No, I'm with you. Like I'm usually like immediately like turning these ideas down just for the same reason. I'm just like, I don't see because like I always say, like the one thing that'll hurt the Lions and get rid of this bubble they're trying to stay in is give this kind of deal out, dude gets hurt and now we're trapped and we can't get off it. Or even if you give it out and he doesn't get hurt, if you're not winning, you better be winning like what we're doing right now, because if you're not getting to that level and you have to try to like, all right, let's make a tweak to our roster, there's not a lot of tweaks you can make. You're kind of dialed in like this is how we're built. We're built like this and this has to work. That's the spot that you get put in. So, and again, this is going conservatively on the cap number. Now, the cap number can be much higher, make this more possible. And it's also, in the Lions, always like to have cap space moved over. So they're not going to play it down to the number anyway. But it's also saying only a 2-year deal. We're not even getting into like if he wants 3 to 4 years, which is possible that he's looking for that as well. I'm just saying 2 years just to go on kind of the safe side, because I think that'd make the Lions the most sense, because then they could restructure next year. Then before they get the massive part of Hutchinson's contract, it'd be kind of the end of Trey Hendrickson. And then you just kind of move forward. That way there's not too much, because that's the thing you got to avoid. The overlap between their two deals is going to be the problem. If those two dudes are hitting at the same time, we're going to have no money to spend because you got Goff on a $70 million cap hit. Like those will be a problem because he's going to get restructured. And once Jared Goff gets restructured this year, if we do it like this, he's got a $69 million cap hit. But once you restructure him, even if we don't go the full amount, let's just say restructure 30 million, something like that. Do that. I mean, that's a massive restructure. Then obviously his cap hit goes up in the future too. Now his numbers just start pushing forward. Now it's back up to 60 million. So restructures don't make it like.
You got Branch, we got Kirby, Jameer. Like
now, how do we make it make sense though? Like if we look at it from the perspective, okay, but how can we make it make sense? This is what I would say. So let's go to the trade value and then we'll go to the deals. First off, you don't bring back Levi. And I think it's possible that he makes 15 to 20 million in free agency, what we've seen so far. So now I don't know that the Lions are in that range or not in that range. I don't know Lions are out on Levi because I think there's a reason he's still available. I think conversations are happening. And I think the Lions, obviously he's testing to see what he can get paid. But I think the Lions are open to bringing him back. And I think they'd love to have him back. I think that Brad Holmes likes his guys, man. And I think what he saw last year, you could look at him and be like, yeah, he's a good player. And, he did everything we want him to. So the path will be the hardest spot for Levi. Like iffy, it's like, where's my future path here? Why does it make sense for me to sign here? Unless I'm getting my long-term deal now, why does it make sense? Because why would I sign a short-term deal? So I think that's all it's going to come down to. Is the team willing to give him 3+ years? The team is, I think he's gone. But if they're not, and we can get him on that short-term deal, I think Brad would be willing to pay him a high number to come back on a 1 to 2 year deal. That's my take on it. So one, don't bring back Levi, because then if it's a long-term deal, it's just not going to make any sense, because then you're going to have that overlap again. So that'd be step one. And then from the trade, I hopefully get Kevin Zettler back. You can do both of those. But then from a trade value perspective, from what I've read, is that they're looking for a first-round pick or a strong day 2 package. Now, usually these teams don't get what they want. It usually falls back like DK Metcalf does. So if I go again on the safe side, say it's a day 2 package, I was thinking maybe like you give up pick 60 this year because you'd have 28 and 101 with the comp pick. Then you potentially trade back out of 28 because you definitely don't need to take an edge at 28 at that spot. So you move back, try to get something back, get into like the 30s or 40s. And then you give up your third next year. So you'd have your 1, 2, and then 4. You'd give up your third. We did it for Giovanni Manu. So that'd be my thought, is that maybe if you could throw them that package, that's something that they'd be willing to jump on, even though it's a late round 2. Maybe that's enough of a day 2 package rather than giving up pick 28, because the problem is you lose flexibility in the draft. But the way they'd gain that back is by moving out. Moving out of 60 doesn't give you flexibility like moving out of 28 would. Someone getting a 5th-year option, that gives you flexibility. It also becomes cheaper for the Lions at that point. So that's, from a trade value perspective, what I think would be the best case. What do you think about that idea?
It's maybe a draft night trade. I do see the Detroit Lions either moving up now it's going to be a BPA situation. If it's like 18, they move up, or you move back and you take multiple swings at that edge spot. And so, then they would have that extra compensation to compensate the Bengals for him. Sorry, I'm mixing up my words here a little bit there. Okay. But, and then you're not paying as big as contracts. I truly don't think – I think this thing's such a pipe dream, man. Like, I haven't allowed myself to get into all that. But I read they're willing to take an early third. They'll take a second. They want a second or early third, they'd be down for. So
that alone, you think? A second or an early third?
Yeah.
So not even if I was packaging those two together to make it happen.
No.
But if they took just 101, like that's
that's
a great price.
Yeah. And it'd have to be our 2026, because obviously we got the freaking we got a comp pick this year in the 3rd round. This is not going to be an early one.
Yeah. I was projecting 101 when I was throwing that number, because my
you're good.
My thought is that Cincinnati their perspective is like, well, all we know is it's a good edge rusher class. We would take back that second round pick because then we have flexibility to go get somebody to try to replace it immediately. I think timing wise, it also makes sense. If there's a year to move off trade, there's a reason they said, hey, you can go look somewhere else, is because timing wise, if they're going to continue to try to build for the draft and not pay guys, this is the year to do that. If you're trying to just simply replace somebody, if you're trying to draft the need, this is the year to get a draft pick to do that. So I could see them maybe 101, but I could see a draft pick this year being really interesting to them, knowing that they can get their edge rusher back this year. And Trey Hendrickson was a third-round pick, just throwing that out there. I mean, it's unlikely you get that, but he was maybe, I don't know, maybe 101 would do it. That's a hot, hey, I don't know. Okay, now I want to go to the player a little bit. And these clips are going to be garbage, but easy. Hang with me on this, okay? I just have like 6 of them or something because I haven't really dove into Hendrickson at all. So I wanted to just like show people what I saw and I think why he's so productive, because like I said, the numbers are crazy. He had 83 pressures last year. That's first. 18 sacks. That's first. 32 stops. That's 15th. Now, to your point, he was 22nd in run snaps played and like 5th in pass snaps played. So he did have more opportunity as a pass rusher than run defense. And I think if you look at it from a edge basis, that's not just that there's more teams passing the ball. I think that's because he's on the field more for passing downs, to the point that you made. So I think you made a good point there earlier. I think that's what those numbers showcase. So I went through 3 games. And I think you'll see the concerns quickly. First off, from a build perspective, you hit on Marcus Davenport, like the length, and cut me off whenever, the length and the power, that kind of thing. That's not what shows up with Hendrickson's game. Now, I immediately like this. He's lined up at a right defensive end. So immediately you could put him opposite of Hutchinson. They both fit naturally on opposite sides of the field. But the length, the explosive, like power aspect of his game, that's not really his game. It's actually a completely different style. So if you're just looking for that type, this isn't Trey Hendrickson. That's not who he is, right? He's not Marcus Davenport. But I think the first step is immediately the first thing that caught my eye. He gets off the ball reactively. His timing is fantastic. Let me move myself a little bit here. That way I don't jump on the screen. But you'll see losses, but you see how he wins. Actually, this is the way that he wins the most. And I think this gave him the biggest problem, to be honest with you. Anytime a team put in a blocker outside his shoulder and they cut off his path around the arc, this is how he constantly wins. He wins on the outside. I thought he'd be more of like an inside kind of winner. He'd be super agile, have a ton of shake. I think his footwork's good, but I don't think he has a ton of shake. I think he wins more like this. He wins on the arc. So when teams would put a guy in the slot, that I think hurt his reps the most, because he doesn't have the element of true speed to power, just blowing people back, where he can play in kind of a small alley as well. He wins more like this. So it turns into much more of a second effort win at that point. But he uses his hands well. You see the footwork, and this is kind of how he goes. However, back to some of the problems that I have. Eazy, this is one of them. I think he's a little bit predictable because he has a way that he wins. So it works a lot, but he has a way that he wins. It's this bend around the top. He shows his hands because he kind of gets to the same thing over and over, which allows tackles to set him up. Allows tackles to get him to fire. They can kind of cut off the edge and they can shut it down. Do you have anything you want to throw in there? I mean, I'll can keep going, but I didn't want to.
No, I'm listening.
Okay. Now run defense, Eazy, is actually the part that I was probably the most surprised, because I didn't think he was bad against the run. I thought this would be the concern. Like, as I always say, I want to get better against the run. And I think opposite of Hutch, we need to have a guy that helps against the run. I think Davenport does that, just style wise. That's what he does. But he was actually better against the run than I thought. Not for the reason that Davenport is, but in his own right. One, I think he's super disciplined as a run defender. This time the ball doesn't even go his direction. I think he plays with really fast hand. He enters quickly. He doesn't play, and you'll see it on these plays. There's not a lot of knockback to his game. You don't see a lot of this ability to kind of press through and push offensive tackles backwards. He doesn't play with heavy hands. So in a lot of the physical aspects, he's not an overpowering edge rusher, but he's super consistent. He gets so many stops to me because he's super disciplined. So it shows up against Washington and Philly. I think it was Washington that they didn't like run the ball his way like one time. Everything was away from him. It's super disciplined. So when you think about all these like quarterback getting into action with the running back, he's a guy that actually handles that incredibly well. And he also opens himself to a lot of these like second effort wins. But you can see right here, he's not pushing guys backwards, but he's super consistent. He's super consistent by the way that he sets the edge. Now we get to Philly. You can see how fast he gets off the ball. I was a little bit disappointed. I was hoping he'd win a little bit more in this game, to be honest. His ability to get dudes to overset, I think, is his best trait because of that first step. You can see how fast he times it off the ball. He gets them to overset, and then he has the body control like this. He keeps working, uses his hands super well. He finds entry points, I think, at such a high level. I think he's got some of the best hand usage probably from an edge defender because he's not athletically that gifted, which makes sense. He's not super long, so he'll get outreached by tackles at times. but he continues to work through reps because of the way they position himself. Same thing against the run. The way that he positions himself, he wins his gaps consistently. The problem is you'll see on a play like this, when he's finishing, he's getting pushed back. He's not setting an anchor and then pushing you backwards and making it a tackle for loss. He's getting stops, but he's getting stops 3 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. So he positions himself well. He's not a guy that's pushing things backwards. He's not pushing things back to the quarterback or back beyond the line of scrimmage like a Davenport's capable of. So it's very different from that perspective. Then you see speed to power wise, there's not a lot of that. Like this is once it gets cut off right here, you could see that he could just be absorbed and it kind of just ends as a pass rusher. I was surprised as a run defender, Eazy. I think he's a much better run defender than what you may expect for a guy at his build. And I think as a pass rusher, his ability to flatten the edge while having a great timing, he's not the fast. Like he's not, you brought up Shamar Stewart. He's not that. Like when Shamar goes, that dude is like flying. I mean, he looks like a track star running the court. He's not that, but he gets it so consistently by the way that he sets it up and then he can get flat because he plays with such great angles. I think it leads to like consistency, second effort wins. There's a stunt ability there too because he finds like the little creases and he slithers well, but I think the pass rush would translate. And I think he could play opposite of Hutch, but the mentality of, oh, we want a pocket collapser to push it back to Hutch, that's not him. He's going to be the guy that flattens the edge to push it back inside, which in theory could help Hutchinson because Hutchinson wins a lot inside. And remember at college, one of his knocks was, oh, he wins too much inside. He doesn't win outside. So in theory, it could work. If you have a guy pushing him back upfield and the other guy wins inside, those two opposite each other work. So I think as a pass rusher, it actually works well, even though it's not the expected thing to work well. I think as a run defender, he's adequate. Like he's fine. He's going to do what he does at a high level. He's going to be really good against a lot of movement that's happening. It's just he's not going to be an enforcer. And I think we've even seen that through his grades over the years. That's not really him. So based on this, Eazy, price point alone, I think he's worthy of paying just under $30 million a year. If you told me it's just the price point, I think it's worthy. The problem is the Lions situation with Hutch. If we didn't have a pass rusher, I'd do this right now. And like, get the deal done. Let's keep this thing moving. But then you throw the draft capital on top. I don't think that he's a Myles Garrett or Max Crosby. I think he's a better pass rusher than Max Crosby, but I don't think well-rounded wise, build physical traits that teams are going to love him that much. So I don't know that his price point will actually get that high. The problem is the guarantees will be super high. What do you think about all of this? I know I said a lot right there, chat. Let me know what y'all think.
Yeah.
I said a lot right there.
No, you're good. Yeah, there's a great breakdown. I think a lot of people need to see that kind of stuff. No. It's just not going to happen. I started to open up to it a little bit yesterday. I was like, well, nothing has happened yet. And they did save a little bit of money with Darius Smith, but it was only $5.7 million. Not even 2 years, not even enough to like. 2 years they saved $5 million. What'd you say?
Could help them next year too. It could help them They save $5 million next year too. So it could. Yeah, true. Like if it's $26 million, it's only technically $21 million now for him, right? So it's like, all right, that's more reasonable. It's 2027 that it doesn't account for, but it does account for next year.
Yeah, this just is not the one. I just can't envision Brad giving up draft assets and then paying this guy. And honestly, you were conservative with it. I think he's probably going to be closer to $30 million. Yeah. Then what you had 26, right?
26 because it was like 25 to 27. Yeah. I want to ask you this though. Let's take it from this perspective because this is like people love the win now move idea. If the Detroit Lions gave up what you said they take a day 2 or day 3. Let's say we can go to 1-on-1, but I'll go safer. Let's say it's pick 60. You give him pick 60 and you get Hendrickson. You don't give him a new contract. You just have him ride out 1 year. We gave you a second round pick for 1 season, and these two were on the same team. We have the money to pay it this year. That's not going to be any problem. I mean, you look at free agency, yeah, there's moves that we can make, but there's not a lot of big name splashes that are going to be down the road here. We might make some debt signings. We might find some prove-it deals. There might be like 1 or 2 linebackers that get like $8 million, something like that. There's not like a big move coming. I'd be surprised if any other $10+ million deals happen unless it's an offensive lineman. And I don't think the Lions will do that unless it's Zeitler, and I don't think he's going to get that money. So if the Lions said, we're going to make it a 1-year deal, we're just going to keep you on your final season. There's no guarantees. Maybe we'll bump that up. We'll give you some guarantees just to make you happy. But after that, you're going to become a free agent. Then we turn around and we say, can we get a comp pick back? Is there a chance that we let you walk in free agency after this year? If we don't replace you in free agency because we also draft somebody, now is there a potential that we get a comp pick back for you when you go sign a big deal next year? So it kind of replenishes a little bit of what we feel like we lost. Does that make sense? I think that's a really strong argument for trying to find a path to actually make it make sense. It sounds crazy, but what do you think about that? I'm trying to make it make sense.
No, don't appease these people, man. It's because even then, if he's playing on that 1 year, he would do it with the Bengals. He wouldn't. He wants a contract. That's why he's being traded.
But the Bengals want to move off him. I don't think the Bengals are going to pay him. That's my thing. I
No,
don't think
it's
the Bengals
not the
pay him.
Bengals want to move off, and the Bengals just can't pay him. They can't afford to pay him, and so obviously they're cutting their ties. Like, okay, well,
yeah,
let's get something out of you. Then because obviously we're not agreeing on a contract here.
So why wouldn't the Bengals do that then? Like if the Bengals want to move off him, right? Because they
Yes.
know they can't pay him. So wouldn't
Yeah.
I mean, from his perspective, he may be like, I'm cool staying in Cincy.
Oh, he's
But
not.
it's like,
He's not playing a 1 year deal. Like a straight. Have you ever heard him talk on the McAfee show or anything? No, yeah, he's definitely not paying a 1 year deal. He wants.
What if we made it like fully guaranteed? Like, bro, you were getting that money. You're getting that money, dog. You know what I mean? But look from his perspective, like, yo, you're gonna be outside of Hutch for 1 year. All right. Now I understand there's the risk of injury, it hurts your value next year. But if you just believe in yourself that it won't happen, we'll give you a fully guaranteed year, man. Next year, when you become a free agent, go get your big deal somewhere else. But this is your chance to play opposite of the best pass rusher in football. Go cook this year and go get massive money. We saw what guys got paid this offseason. Go get massive money next year, win your Super Bowl this year. That's not a good sell.
I'm the Bengals. We got Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. We're this close to winning the Super Bowl. We'll guarantee this year. It's the same conversation they're having. It's not going to happen.
I see what you're saying. But I don't think the Bengals would guarantee the year because I think the Bengals are broke.
What's that? Yeah, they might not.
I don't think the Bengals would do that.
Well, I did some homework, Dion. I wasn't happy with
the
results. I'm
here.
I think another reason why the Detroit Lions may continue to operate this way forever them is I looked up the most cash-rich owners because those are the ones that kind of manipulate the cap space, right? The signing bonuses and whatnot. We are amongst the bottom. We are right, I believe, right before the Cincinnati Bengals.
Wait. I'm sorry. I had text. What'd you say? My bad. What'd you say?
No, you're good. You're good. So, like in terms of like guaranteeing the money, like I don't know if the Bengals could afford to do that. I don't know. We could afford to do that. Like as
guarantee the money.
Yeah.
Well, we
can do it when it's on escrow.
20,
you know what I'm saying?
20-some million guaranteed.
What did you say?
I mean, we gave what was it? What do we give Derrick Barnes? 20-some fully guaranteed.
Yeah.
So that's like Hendrickson's 20 million guaranteed. Bam.
It's already money gone.
So you're telling me with all those Ford cars, they can't give him $20 million guaranteed? That's what you're trying to tell me?
She doesn't own. She owns like a percentage of Ford. There's like multiple Ford children.
Okay, so Eazy, I don't like this, bro, because you're making too much sense here. And I don't like what you're saying. You know what I mean?
I didn't like it either when I looked up yesterday.
No, that's interesting, actually. So what was you said we're 31 in terms of like guaranteed money?
So I saw one we were 29 out of all 32 teams, and then another one I looked up, but we were 25. The one we were 25 was from February, so more recently than the one that ranked us 29.
Do you think it's because they don't have the money, or think that's because, to what you said earlier, that's just how they address free agency? Like they haven't since they've gotten here, really.
I think it's a.
Big money. And they've also hadn't had to re-sign their guys yet. This is really the first time we're like hitting that.
And I mean, I think it depends on the scenario too. To be honest with you, like if we're there, if this, which this kind of feels like it, like it could be a Super Bowl, right? But I think it may be like that for a minute because I don't even remember us ever signing anyone ever big off of free agency. So I think it's a healthy mix of both. But obviously they tried to trade for Myles Garrett, but there's a little bit of contract control with Myles Garrett at that point when they tried making that trade. Yeah, the rest of last season, and then more than likely this season. And he's a guy that wanted to win. He's not like a Trey Hendrickson where the whole reason he's being traded is because he wants money,
But did he want to win? I think him signing that new deal, like he says he wants to win.
Whoa, I mean, obviously someone guarantees $110 million probably change a lot of things for a lot of people, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Good for him and his family.
I hear what he was saying. You got the bread though. It's like, all right, like you can try to sell me like, hey, Browns might be kind of good. Odds of that, not great. Not great. You know what I mean? Yeah. Hey, he came pretty quick. He saw that 40 million. He's like, wait a minute, what am I doing? We don't need to win that bad. We don't need to win that bad. Is it?
You know what? I enjoy watching the Cavaliers play basketball. It's I don't mind.
Pretty good this year.
What do you think?
I'm with you, man. I'm with you on this trade thing. I don't think it goes down, but I can't help but think it's super interesting of how much cap space they do have right now, because it's like something could happen, and something definitely could happen.
Well, what is it right now?
It's Mike. I don't know what it is officially because we don't know DJ Reed.
It's like 30 something, right? After the
Well,
Barnes,
here's what
after the Barnes and Davenport. Oh, I guess we had DJ. You're right, DJ Reed. We don't know.
DJ Reed's the big one. Now,
Yeah.
according to Over the Cap, they do have Barnes included. They also included Davenport, which is like $5 million combined. And then you would have, see, they don't include DJ Reed yet. And then you would have Dan Skipper, who I don't think is on here yet. I don't think he's on here yet.
How much should be guaranteed in the deal for DJ Reed?
What was it,
20
30 million?
30 million.
Let me check. I can double check. Because I mean, I feel like we'll have an out that final year.
Yes,
I think that'll be more normal. Yeah, it's
excuse me.
I don't even know. I don't know if they include the Dan Skipper one yet. I would be surprised if they had the numbers on that. I would think it's probably about 3 million. I mean, his cap hit's probably not 3 million though, but I would think that's what his.
I think it might be a little bit more. If you guaranteed him 30, I could be wrong though.
Oh, you talking about DJ Reed? Oh yeah, no, DJ Reed. Yeah. I'm thinking his cap number is about 10 million.
And then what you count? Do you count like 10 for the draft class or whatever?
Yeah, for us it'd be I had the numbers. It wouldn't be 10 because the top 51 cutoff. It's not too bad because we're picking so darn late now. Remember, it's more close to like 5, I think. It's only like 3 to 5. I guess it just depends on who's in our top 51. Patriots are trading Keon White for the Bengals for Trey Hendrickson. Is that real?
No. Keon White's better than Trey Hendrickson, or just as good.
Oh, okay.
No?
Okay.
No? I could be wrong.
No.
Let's see.
I love Keon White though. Yeah. Charles was bringing it up yesterday, man, and I was like believing that he was serious and that dude's about to get traded. That's a trade we can talk about.
That's what I'm saying. Keon White is really good. He's a really good football player. You're not trading him for Trey Hendrickson, who's 31. Keon White's like what, 26?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, Keon, and he got his 2 years left. I believe he has 2 years left, but it doesn't have a 5th year. But no, we have good cap space because even if it's a $10 million cap, that puts us at $40 million. And you throw maybe Dan Skipper in there with 1 or 2 for his cap number. He'll probably have a void year, I'm sure, something goofy like that. Maybe not.
I was looking at an article for Justin Rogers. He did one with the draft class included, and then he did the Derrick Barnes move, and it was like we're in like the 40s. 40. So it might be like 30 something though. I don't know though.
With the draft class and just Barnes at a $3 million cap hit?
Mm-hmm.
That don't sound right. I'm gonna be honest, that don't sound right. But I haven't seen the article. I mean, it depends though, because he might be getting his total number from a different spot. So it just depends on where he's getting that from. Because I don't think I'm pretty sure it's not going to cost us $10 million for our draft class. It would in total, but because of the top 51, the back end picks won't even count. They won't even get into the top 51.
If the season starts.
Let me see. But to your point, like we're not going to go to 0, so we're going to have 15 million probably just sitting there. That's usually how they go about it. Let's see what they have it on. Over the cap says, what do they say, $7.7 million for the rookie pool. I don't know. 7.7 for the what year is this? They're saying 7.7, but I think the key to that is like the first one is 2.6 million. That's their first round pick. Pick 60 would be 1.25 million. So those will count. And then if you have to wait till 101, that's projected to be $1 million. So at 1.07 million, here's the top 51 right here. So that would count it. At least right now it would. Except for this isn't. Oh yeah, DJ Reed's gonna push it down. Be interesting. All right. Well, with that, we can leave it there.
Oh yeah, roughly under 50. So maybe I messed up. Because he said roughly under 50 before the Barnes signing. And then obviously we know Barnes now was only the 3 million, 3.4. Yeah. It's like 47. We're still a lot to work. We still got 20 million to work with. I feel like before we hit that operating budget that they were playing with last year.
And that's what I'm saying. And it's like if the cap number, if our cap space we're saying is a 303 million, 10% of that's $30 million. So we have to spend, what is it, $270 million. So we have to at least get under $30 million in cap space. if they're going year by. I don't know what their last couple of years were on that scale, but we have to at least get there just likely.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have money. Like that's not saying it has to be a big move because like they're going to make some more signs because we do need depth here. But so with that, they have the money to do something. We'll see if they do it. Free agency wise, what I want to just ask you about like the current players because I think there's like three main ones: Zeitler, Levi, not Iffy anymore. I guess it's two main ones now. I think Vildor is also going to re-sign, but I think he's trying to see if he can get somewhere else on a bigger deal because he's probably not going to sign for much here. He had a good year last year, so I'd like to have him back. But like out of our upcoming free agents, I'll throw it on the screen. Like, who do you want to see come back? And do you think any of these guys do?
I think you definitely should bring Kevin Zeitler back. I remember, again, in that same combine interview, Brad was talking about watching some of the offensive free agents on Arizona. I know there's like Evan Brown and someone else there too. But today with the Vikings signing Jonathan Allen, I think you got to lock up that interior. Yeah, because I think obviously tremendous offensive line, but the times we've seen it crumble, it's been interior. And that's when Goff has struggled the most, when there's an interior pass rush. So yeah. I want to secure that interior offensive line more than ever after the Jonathan Allen signing.
No, I completely agree. I don't think I thought about it. I think if he said, "Yo, I want $12 million for 1 year," I think the Lions would pay it. I don't think they'd care. I think they'd be like, okay. Like that's
when you're that close, like why not? You know?
Yeah, like bro, I feel like if there's like a position they don't care. 6, yeah, dude, they got him. Yeah. They had him a fantastic deal. I mean, I think I would absolutely be open to giving him a raise, no question. I just think he hasn't signed yet because he's trying to figure out his future, where he wants to retire. Does he want to be in Detroit? Because this could be his last year of football, even if he decides to play again. I think that's why he's taking the time. And I think you talk about Jonathan Allen one. There's a lot of vets that came available late for defensive tackle and defensive end. Those to me will probably happen later in the process for the same type of reason. And it's also kind of because like those dudes aren't trying to sign and then be like placed over by somebody and be like, I'm not playing here. Like those dudes are on the last run. They're trying to get Super Bowls, or maybe they're just trying to retire, or they want playing time. Like Javon Hargrave, those dudes. I think those later deals, Zadarius Smith, I think those will come down the road. I don't think those dudes are in any rush. They're not like trying to prove anything. They've made their money. I don't think those guys are in any rush to sign deals. So I think those will take a little bit longer. And I think Zeitler's right in that category. What do you think about Pat O'Connor? Like, I just want to throw that because like I think it'd be nice to have him back. But just as like a side note, like Pat O'Connor, you want him back? I kind of do. All right, Easy's not feeling it. That's cool.
No, sorry, I got a crazy text.
No, that's cool. I mean, if you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it. I mean, it's not that
good. I'm back. I got a really weird text.
No, you're good. I asked you about Pat O'Connor. Like if you want to bring him back.
Yeah, I'd be down. I mean,
I'm gonna pull this.
Yeah, 20 million. I'm probably looking at a couple fancier names, but I actually really love what Pat O'Connor brought last year in the time he played.
Okay, let's talk fancier names. But before we get to fancier names, Easy, yes. I put a list together. All right, of my needs coming into free agency. Now, there's really only one of these. I won't check it off yet because we're still probably going to add someone to it. By the way, there's been a lot of moves that have went down. So if there's anything like other teams have done that you want to talk about, go ahead. I know the Bears have been making moves. The Vikings, like you said, Jonathan Allen this morning. And then also, I know yesterday I had Isaiah Rodgers from Philly. So, they made some nice little things happen. They always get their best out of their dudes, dude, from what we know now. Like, they make it work. So, I just expect those guys to be good. This was my list. Cornerback 2 wouldn't be this high anymore, or just cornerback depth, I said. A lot of these were listed as depth. What do you think of this list, Easy? You agree, disagree? And by the way, this doesn't mean one at the top says pay the most money here. We just ranking in order in terms of like fill those positions. Shout the Bear down in the chat. Not shout the Bear down, but shout the MP. I appreciate you with the 2-piece, my guy.
Well, I don't want to be negative, but like I would still put Edge like number one for me personally. Just because, like, the reason why Davenport's on that type of deal is because he hasn't been really readily available. And due to our last experience with that with, Mosley, and I was a big believer in Emmanuel Mosley. I thought we were going to get a dog last year, at least at the nickel spot, if he didn't, like, steal one of those outside jobs. And obviously what happened. And it sucks that it being injury-prone is a thing, but it is a thing. Guys sometimes just can't stay on the field. Carlton Davis may be one of those too. But I would still put Edge to be safe there. In terms of a quality guy. That's why I was so I was so like kind of upset about this Darius Smith. I got what it was, right? You saved the $5 million this year, then another $5 million last year, or next year, I should say. So then ultimately it's like 11 something, but I still think you should go grab an edge just in case Davenport doesn't,
Let me ask you that.
No,
I think that the edge conversation is super interesting because I didn't want him to cut Za'Darius. I didn't think they would. And I thought after they did, they'd re-sign him. I thought they were going to try to open the money, get him back on a 1-year deal. That way they didn't have to deal with next year's dead money. And I still think that's on the table, by the way. I know he said goodbye to Troy. I'm not counting out that at some point this dude's like, I'll come back. Even if that's mid-season, I'll come back. I'll sign a deal. We'll wrap the season together. If he liked being here because he put out that message, I'm still leaving that as a possibility. But like for edge, are you thinking like a guy that kind of plays the Davenport role? Because I'm looking at it as, even without Levi, because he's not here, Josh Paschal and Marcus Davenport will kind of be in the same position. Marcus Davenport, if healthy, is a starter. Josh Paschal's his backup. And then obviously you have Hutchinson opposite. I listed as the backup to Aiden Hutchinson because we actually don't have like a backup to Aiden Hutchinson right now. I mean, we move guys around, but we don't actually have a true backup. So which one are you looking? Because like let's say we go in free agency, right? We give out. I don't know. Let's say they give out there's not really any top names left, to be honest. So unless you have somebody, but if they give out like a 1-year deal to a young dude, all right, he's upside. We'll just take a swing and see what it can turn into. Are you looking for that as a backup to Hutchinson, or are you looking for that to like, well, because Davenport's been injured, maybe he can throw into that mix? And we got 3 dudes in that mix.
Yes, then I'm looking for Davenport, like a Davenport. Either just rotate with him, replace him, and maybe even 2 guys. I mean, maybe at $22 million, that does sound like 2 quality depth guys at the edge spot that aren't like, top of the class at the position. But you got the draft as well. Because I know you're talking about depth behind Hutch, but like I'm talking about depth behind Davenport. That's where I'm at with it for sure.
Yeah, I just assume Paschal's. That's why I put it interior defensive line because I know we have a guy in Paschal. I know he's under contract for a couple of years. I just know at defensive tackle, it's like future wise we're okay because like going into this year, if Aleem's healthy, when he gets healthy, and Reader, we do have our guys, but we know Aleem's the future. But it's like I know he's probably not going to start the season, and then I also want someone to take snaps away from Reader. Like I know we have Chris Smith, but I'd rather upgrade in that role specifically. That way he doesn't have to play every single snap. I don't think that's good for him at his age. I don't think that's going to be reliable once we get to the playoffs if we have to ask him to do that. But how much would you honestly be willing to spend there? Because I think it's a weird spot, right? So like let's say I don't know who it would be. Let's say they give out $7 million to an edge rusher. Would that be a problem if it's the Marcus Davenport role where you're like, wait a minute, now we got almost too much here where it's unless he can play behind Hutchinson, like are you looking like is it because like someone like
I'm looking at
brought up Calais
yes,
could play that role,
exactly.
right?
That's
but he
exactly
wouldn't back up Hutch. So someone like that?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Calais Campbell. Guy can play inside, outside, be versatile for you, and a depth piece in multiple ways. I think that's why Levi is kind of valuable to us as well because he played outside a little bit sometimes as well.
He played outside a lot last year too. I would love a guy like Calais Campbell. So I think that's actually the perfect type because then it's like, he's going to stick around. But it's like if these other dudes are playing well, he doesn't need to see the field, but there will always be a role for him because he can just plug in through injuries. I feel like you kind of have to go after a guy that you feel comfortable across the line because otherwise you might overload one position and just kind of cut somebody. You might like unintentionally cut somebody out of making the team after you sign him because if they are healthy, there's going to be no role for him. And then it's like, wait a minute. Because if Davenport's healthy week 1 and so is Paschal, it's like, do we keep 3 guys in that spot on the roster? Like, it's going to be a tough sell unless you can step in behind Hutch and you're like, oh, yeah, he brings that. So I think you got to bring either a Calais Campbell that's unique body style, big body, plays inside, outside, or you have to go, this dude's best asset is he gets after the quarterback. Because I think you have the mold of Marcus Davenport kind of now settled in a little bit more. And then I want to ask you this for the Hendrickson thing as well. Say they traded for Hendrickson. We don't think it's going to happen, but say they did. How does that even make sense with Paschal and having Davenport back? Like, or would that be in a spot where it's like, well, dang, okay, this is too much? Or do you think that would make sense?
Why do you keep bringing up Hendrickson?
Well, because you brought it. You wanted to talk about Hendrickson. By the way, chat, Eazy hit me up. He was like, yo, I want to trade for Trey Hendrickson. And I was like, dude, I don't think we should. He's like, yo, I give up everything. So I'm like, all right, we'll talk about him. So, he's trying to compete.
No, yeah, you're not getting Trey Hendrickson. I would even.
All right, we don't have to answer that question. Okay,
I can't even like form my mind to like even want to use the energy to talk about it. I'm sorry. Is that bad?
No, you know what? I kind of hope we trade for him now, just because I want. I'm here for it, by the way. Just a side note, like I don't think it's gonna happen, but if it did, I'd be really excited.
Yeah,
like we'd all be excited. We're like, all right, they believe it's gonna work, so let's do it. I mean, let's have some fun. And by the way, I like this move. I like it better than Max because I think he's a better pass rusher. I like it better than Miles because I think he's going to be a lot cheaper and cost a lot less. What did I say? Something crazy?
Zoom in. Yeah, you don't like it better than Miles Garrett. You don't you don't.
No, easy because you just laid it out. What are we gonna do with Miles? Were we gonna pay Miles $40 million and they give up a first round pick for that dude?
That wasn't.
No, that's why they didn't like it.
He wanted to come and win. Now that he's staying there, okay, keep me here, pay me. All right, here's $110 million. He wasn't coming here to make no $40 million. He was coming here to win a Super Bowl.
No, he wasn't. He says that he was doing that. Easy, you told me that Trey Hendrickson is looking to get paid. You think Miles Garrett?
Yeah, Miles Garrett wasn't looking to get paid. Miles Garrett was looking to win.
I don't believe that. I don't believe we found out what Miles Garrett was about. That's what I believe. If that dude wanted to get traded, he would have sat out.
Well, Dion, they weren't taking the calls. The stonewalling people. We're not trading. We have contract control over you of non-guaranteed money for 2 more years. Go ahead and play that game if you want to. Sit out. You're going to lose money. How about this? We'll make you the highest paid edge rusher, highest paid non-quarterback position all time. And I promise you, and then they gave him the game plan to winning. Miles Garrett wanted to win. He didn't. It wasn't a money. It was an employee. It wasn't a contract ploy. I don't believe that at all whatsoever. They offered him money before this.
I think it was, and here's why. David Njoku said the same thing, bro. I'm telling you, they thought David Njoku was going to move. That dude got paid, and he's like, I'm chilling.
Who?
I'm not saying that he doesn't want to win. I'm sure he wants to win. Yeah. But I think if he comes here, we're having to pay that dude. I just don't. I don't think we would have.
You would have had to after the season for sure.
Because he had 2 years left.
Yes. So like after, so like say we got Miles Garrett.
We would have given up.
Yes, he would have wanted to get paid then. I would have given.
The problem for me is what we would have gave up draft pick wise. It'd been hard to be like, yeah, we're not going to pay you, even though we just gave up a first and a second or something. So you know what I mean? Like it'd have been like, you did that with a third though. Like, and that's the thing with Trey. That's why I was like, for Trey, to what you said, if you give up 101, could you make the case like, I'll just let him walk? We'll see if we get
one guy's a Hall of Fame defensive end. Like
who?
Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
So a little different than like, yeah, sure, a first and a third, yeah. And I have an extra third anyway from the AG hiring all day.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, it's good. I like the different perspective. I like this one better because I think it makes more sense. I think Trey makes more sense.
This is 10 times worse.
Nah, I would disagree with you.
You just went over the contract situation yourself.
Yeah, no, because look, man, Miles would have got paid, and we would have had to give a lot of. Here's my issue with Miles. Let me just.
Miles would have gotten paid. We would have made something from him. We could have traded him. We're like, okay, we're not paying.
So you think we would have played it for 1 year and then traded him?
Possibly, yeah.
That would have been the path. That was the path Johnson.
Huh?
Well, no, I don't know what you said. You said Gardner Johnson.
That's what happened to C.J. Gardner Johnson just now.
That would have been the only path. Maybe that was the way to do it. Maybe that was the way to do it. I just think, assuming that didn't happen,
or I'm sure they would have figured something out too. I mean, he's good enough to where you probably want to keep him.
You definitely want to keep him.
Yeah.
You definitely want to. He's definitely good enough. To your point, yeah.
Lost some guys. I think
you could almost do
if you make a move like that. Jamo's at like after that Super Bowl season, you're probably moving off of Jamo, and maybe even Knuckles.
See, that's why I wouldn't have done that.
I would have done it.
Like you're telling me that's better than giving up. You said pick 101 for Hendrickson and then letting him walk after a year like you did with Carlton.
Yeah, I would take Miles Garrett over. Yes, absolutely. And let him walk. Or then I keep Jamo on those guys. Then yeah, sure. You're not letting
that's
him
what
walk,
I'm saying. You have
flexibility. So you're not letting him walk. It's a Hall of Fame defensive end. That's a okay.
Oh no, I was talking about Trey.
Oh yeah. Well, Trey's not playing on a 1 year deal. Strap not happening.
But why would Miles play on his deal?
Because he's not on a 1 year deal, and Miles wanted to win a Super Bowl.
You don't have any guarantees.
Here's the difference. One guy, hey, why do you want to get traded?
One guy said he wants to win. One guy didn't say he wants
Why
to
do you
win.
want to get traded? I want to win a Super Bowl. I've done everything that there's accomplished in my career. I've been the highest paid player. I've been a defensive player of the year. I've been an all pro. I've been Pro Bowl. The next thing on my list of greatness that I'm just knocking down here is a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I would like to win a Super Bowl. Okay,
you
Trey,
don't
why would you like
that...
to get traded? Well, I just want some money. Oh, okay, well,
no, that's not
2 years
like that.
2 years control, 1 year of a guy who just wants to be paid. Give me the guys going to the freaking Hall of Fame.
Easy. So you're thinking that Trey Hendrickson couldn't also have thought the same way? I'm 30 years old. I just led the league in sacks, and we missed the playoffs. I don't want to go in.
No, I know what Trey Hendrickson wants. Trey Hendrickson's been very.
I know what Myles Garrett wants too. I saw it.
No, you
didn't. Want to beg.
You saw him saying wanted to win. And there's a situation we couldn't leave. They gave him money.
All right, here's what we'll do. We'll end it like this. Trey Hendrickson makes more sense than Myles Garrett.
No.
For me, it does.
Absolutely
For you, it doesn't. I'll leave it right there. We'll put a little lightning bolt between.
I would. You're taking Myles Garrett hand over fist over Trey Hendrickson. That's not even close. I am. You.
I feel like you're underrating Trey a little bit now.
In your little rinky dink corporation. My team would smash your team. Myles Garrett
your team's gonna be poor in 2 years, Easy. That's what your team's gonna be, Easy. You're gonna be
the Browns. I'm cashing. I'm trading. I'm flipping guys. We're not losing for nothing.
That's what I'm doing too. I'm about to flip Trey. I'm about to be like, hey, Trey, you get this one great year. Then watch this. You're gonna walk. I'm gonna take that third round comp
for 1 year.
Why not? All right, then I'll extend it. Give him 2 years. We talked about $26 million. Bring him back. You want to extend Myles? I'm extending my guy. You know what I mean?
Conversation, but
okay.
Yeah.
We can leave it there. Trey Hendrickson's gonna be a Lion. No, this is crazy. See, now you've changed. Now I didn't even come in one. Now here we are. Okay, let's
it's like Nate Sudfeld all over.
I like it more though than you do. I'm like on board with it. You know what I mean?
No, I'm on board with it. I'm just letting you know it's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. I agree. Okay. Free agency though. Free agency is happening. I think it's been like super quiet so far today. There hasn't been much that's happened. Christian Fulton just signed with the Chiefs. Okay. Is there anybody specifically, or I can go back to my list here. I know we're at different spots on the list, but just to give a reference, like, is there anything like specifically you're like, yo, let's still address this. This is available. Or is it just like a position? We need to hit this in free agency. Because like I said, I think a lot of it is depth right now. So where are you at with all of it?
Yeah. Guard.
What's still there?
Kind of saying if you're not retaining Zeitler, I still think that's a priority for this team, especially if you want to function efficiently as an offense. Obviously, you're already, I don't want to say at a disadvantage, but obviously things are going to be a little bit different without Ben there, right? And so you want everything to go as smoothly as it can on the offensive line. And so that, for me, includes interior protection for Jared Goff. So, because I would even argue that, like, that's not even a depth competition yet. Like, you have it on there as to compete. So that means we're talking about a starter, right? So I'd move guard to one, and then probably, obviously, we talked about edge too, but whatever with that.
Well, I think we could start with what we have right now. Like, we could go through the season with what we have, I think.
I wouldn't be confident. I wouldn't like that at all. I think Graham could be due to injury too, because I've talked to him a little bit on the side. But I think there's a clear fall off from Graham's production in terms of like actually competing. You know,
he's always been a pretty average, a little bit above average pass protector. Like he's never been what Zeitler was, right? So I agree.
Times.
Last year they had some, I mean, you know what though? I mean, even the year before, like we would have, there's Green Bay and it was like, oh, this is rough. And we got cooked. Like he that's the thing with Graham. Like he'll have a couple games where like, it's pretty awful. Like he's got like a pretty stable line. Then you just get a couple like that was a disaster. But it's like, all right, it's for your price point. It's fine. You can start. He's a starting level, I think, guard, but he's also replaceable potentially. If you have a dog, he's replaceable.
Yeah.
I think Mahogany could be a starter though. I think when we saw last year,
I think Mahogany be a starter. I got to be honest too. I'm a big Mahogany believer. Yeah, I think you and I were on that from like pre-draft before he was even a Detroit Lion. We liked him, at least for sure in the run game. But you're really just gonna hold like in a Super Bowl window type situation? You're gonna hold all your faith in a guy you've watched 2 starts out of? Me personally, I'm not playing that. I'm grabbing another guy for sure.
What's okay? I want to ask you this though, because I know, like, I always try to avoid having to take a need. But let's say Zettler doesn't come back, because I think for
Mhm.
me, I'm with like I'd pay Zettler whatever, just bring him back.
Yeah.
But if it's not Zettler, I feel like for free agency, Zeitler's the best guard, hands down. It's not even close, I don't think, with else who's available,
Kai
and
Becton
especially with
sucked,
who got scooped yesterday, Mekhi Becton. Maybe he's the best one left outside of
but that's probably just market
Zeitler.
wise, market value. Yeah, I think Zeitler.
He might be though, yeah, because I mean, like the last night, James Daniels got picked up, Makari got picked up, so like it's thinned out pretty quick. If it's not Zeitler, is it Becton? Is there someone else that you'd be like sign that guy to be the competition, or would you then just prefer just make it the draft pick then?
Mhm.
What is that? Can it be, or is it both? Like, is there a preference at that
I'm
point?
signing somebody and the way Brad approaches it too, like just going by what he says, they're going to plug needs through free agency and trades, and they're going to draft the best player available. So I don't think you're going to put yourself in that situation in the draft if you truly want to, follow through on your philosophy of drafting the best player available. I think guard right now looks like a need, at least if you're not talking about a starter, at least for sure like a depth piece. I think you need to plug that in the free agency market. And I would actually say the same when. Well, I guess you could put edge rusher second in it. I would put edge rusher second in that thing. Defensive tackle, you got Lee McNeil coming back. I think he'll be back earlier than expected. I'm thinking like within the first 4
2 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
3-4 games.
I want a backup nose tackle. That's mainly why that's there. Not that I hate Broderick. I just want a 1 year to what the veteran. I want a vet there.
You don't hate Broderick, but you obviously hate DJ Reader. It sounds like.
Of course. So we can cut DJ if we have to. I mean, we got to do what we got to do. No, I mean, we just need some depth. Like, I don't want to fall into that. I want to take snaps off him. I don't want to fall. We fell into last year. We didn't have him. Like, I feel like there's a little drop off. Like, I don't want that drop off.
Mm-hmm.
I just want, because like to me, the difference is like guard. I could make the case they signed nobody. They hit the draft. They drafted guard. Like, all right, we're cool. Defensive tackle. I feel like if they don't add any defensive tackle, that's a problem. Because I think you have to add somebody. Even if it's not a big deal, you just have to add somebody there in free agency. Someone that's proven some competition, some depth. I think you have to have somebody before the draft. I feel like the other spots I could.
Yeah. And this is just me arguing with you to see if I get you mad. I would say. No, but for real, there we had placeholders there before, at the nose tackle spot. And it worked to the tune of being like a top ranked run defense. So I guess
not last year though.
On the defensive tackle spot. No, we were still top 5. No mistake.
Now, Easy, we're on two different boats here. You're right. Let me just explain why we're on two different spots here.
I'm listening.
I think the Lions' biggest issue last year was run defense, and I don't know how people agree with that. I think their run defense took a step back. I'm not putting that on personnel only. I'm putting some of that on Aaron Glenn, and I'm not just saying because he's gone. Like some of the schematics I thought were shit. I thought Washington was a horrible game plan. Straight up, I was like, what are we doing defensively? You knew you had to stop the run. They had a great rushing offense. I know, but Easy. Even if you look at it from your point, yards per game, like things like that, we've constantly been good. But we've also constantly regressed in like the advanced statistics and what's expected by each run play. I think we were 20th last season. Like that's continued to drop off. I don't think teams have been able to run the ball consistently against stuff due to situation. Here's my other case.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Every NFC team that got knocked down in the playoffs lost because they couldn't stop the run. Us against Washington, Washington against Philadelphia, LA Rams against Philadelphia. Every team got cooked on the ground. I think especially where the NFC's going, but also where the NFL's going. Like, I think if you told me the Lions stabilized the run defense, and I think Casey Rogers is going to help us just in general, because if you watch that Tampa Bay defense, how many people are saying Tampa Bay's got a better front seven than us? I don't know. When healthy, definitely us, but maybe because they were more healthy. They shut down Washington's run game. Like, they shut that thing down when they played them at the end of the year. I think that if we stabilize that and we got that figured out, I feel good about pretty much everything else on this team outside of adding another guard, but specifically on the defense side of the ball. I like our coverage pieces. I think we have more than enough pass rushers we can always add, and I think we're going to add. But, like, we could absolutely get away with what we have. But run defense, to me, needs to be better. Like, linebacker, D-line, it just has to be better. That's where I'm at with it. I think there's not a lot of massive holes or big needs for this team, but I would put that first for me, even though it's not like we can't stop the run at all. I just think it needs to be better.
I think there's some context. Like, I don't think you're wrong. I think yards per carry, we were already, the year previously, like we were top 5. Last year, hit 4 at a certain point. But I think you look at the base of our injuries, a lot of it was to that front seven. And had we had even Marcus Davenport on that defensive line. You definitely
have helped.
Exactly. But the guys are just collapsing whole, and as well as the linebackers too. The guys scraping in the back as well. So I think that has some context to do with the fall off in the run defense. And then obviously you lost a Lima at some point as well, too. So I think that can get better through the personnel alone. Hutch included.
Agreed. That's why we need to add to it.
No, we don't need that.
We gotta get better.
Bro, we're getting those guys back. We need
okay. I think that's why we also cut Za'Darius. If they don't bring him back, I think a huge reason is because of his run defense. They're like, he doesn't make us better as a run defense. He's fine, he's capable, but he's not like pushing us ahead as a run defender. You know, Marcus Davenport does, to your point, if he's on the field. Obviously, Hutch is still locked in. Pascal's locked in. He can help us there. He's been okay against the run. He's been good. I think he's gotten better. He's been a lot smarter. Yeah. But it's like Za'Darius didn't push us forward there. So when he's on the field, he wasn't a elevator. He was just kind of like, all right, he's okay if he does his job, but he doesn't go above and beyond.
It's true. My girlfriend's son, it's his birthday today. I want to say my side piece. Happy birthday to her son, Carlos. I see him out there in chat. I want to wish him happy birthday.
Carlos Cook is you know Carlos Cook in person? Are you serious? Wait. No, you lying, bro. I know Carlos Cook is nice. Hey, shout out to Carlos Cook, man. Happy birthday. Let's get the birthday cakes in the chat. Because this actually is a birthday. Okay, so we're just on two different rounds here. I mean, I guess it is what it is. I don't know. I should have brought more to try to sell you on that. Okay. So offensive guard. Now I think with offensive guard too, the interesting thing is like there's a couple of dudes I just pulled the names up. Like Tevin Jenkins, I don't think we'll do that. I don't know that he fits us perfectly either. But it is a little bit lighter there. My issue is for a lot of the guards too that are now available. I don't know that signing them, like let's just say hypothetically, Will Hernandez. Say we signed him. 1 year, $7 million, something like that. I don't know.
I think we might.
I don't think that he's a clear-cut upgrade over Graham. I think if anything, he might be worse or similar. So it's like for me, I don't want to make a lateral move there. So that's where I'm kind of in a weird spot where I think the only obvious upgrade is Zeitler. And remember, Graham is under contract for 2 more years, even though we have an out after a year. He is under contract for 2 more years. We could keep him here. I think he's the only like clear-cut upgrade. And the vision when they re-signed Graham was he was going to start. Like he was the start. It wasn't like we re-signed him to be a backup center. We signed him to start, and Mahogany just looked really good. And now we're like, well, wait a minute. So I think if it's not Zeitler, I just feel like we're in a kind of a weird spot where it's like, well, do we spend $15 million on Jenkins? I don't think Jenkins is the perfect fit for us. And then if we get to that next tier, how many guys actually make sense to be like, well, that's an actual upgrade. Like we know that's an upgrade. It's worth paying the money for $10+ million a year. Maybe Mekhi Becton.
For sure. It'd be him.
That's where I'm at.
And some of the guys too. Like I could be 100% honest with you and admit that. Like I'm not as well versed with these free agent guards as I am like these defenders, you know. But I guess I'd have to look.
Talk about
yeah.
We can talk about
but if there's a young guy out there, he's kind of nimble, maybe even versatile, that played a little center before, like I'd invest in that all day. I think we've been able with the guys we have on the outside in terms of like Deck and Sewell. Whoever we've had in there, we've been able to like make work, whether it be Ayoade or other guys too. They've been not god awful. Obviously, they haven't been like great or anything like that, but like that, they haven't been like super noticeable outside of the time we missed multiple guys in the interior.
So wait. So what do you mean by that?
Wait, Brandon Sheriff. There's a guy right there.
Yeah, but he's not an upgrade.
He's not an upgrade over Graham Glasgow?
I don't think for the here's what I mean. You need to be a clear-cut upgrade if I'm paying you big money as a guard, right? Like that's fair. Like I can't be like, oh, you might be a little bit better today. Like you got to be that dude's better, straightforward, straight up. Mm-hmm. I don't think Brandon Sheriff falls into that, and I don't think there's a lot of guys that do it outside of our guy. You know, our guys like he's better.
Well, I don't think Brandon Sheriff is going to get that bit. I don't think he's going to get that type of money unless he just goes to like another losing team. I think he's going to do exactly what Zeitler did last year and just take a little bit of a cheaper deal to go get a Super Bowl. He's played for the Jaguars his entire life.
It's true. He say, hey, here we go again.
In Cleveland.
Ben Cleveland? Where's Ben Cleveland at?
I remember him. Was he with the Vikings for a minute?
No, you're thinking of Ezra Cleveland.
Oh. God damn it.
See, it's just like I don't feel the strength here. Easy. That's my problem. It was like if you were gonna do it, you had to jump on it early.
Sexy.
No, it's not that it's not. It's just like there's not the dudes, man. It's like, bro, it just make it clear. Zeitler, come back to the Lions, bro. If you're watching, re-sign today. Just get this thing done. Let's stop playing around. All right, like, bro, we'll chip in a little bit. Like, let's just stop playing around, dude.
Well, hold
These
on.
guys, well, chat will chip in a little bit.
He'll
These guys,
chip in a little bit.
bro, we need like, yo, we just it's not clear cut. So like to me, I get to that point, I'm like, well, I'm not spending the same amount of money for a dude that I'm like, oh, I'm not sure if he's gonna start. Like at that point, it's like I want a distinction. Am I signing a guy that's a backup that can play across the line? That's one thing. I'm on board with that. I don't want to sign a guard that's like maybe he's better than Graham. I'm not sure though. It's like, now that's just too much money to put there because they're not going to be like 3 million. It's gonna be like 8 million. I'm like, well, dang, why did I spend that money? I could have spent that somewhere else. Could have got Trey Hendrickson. So, so it's like, I want Zeitler back, or I think it makes sense to be like, let's get some depth in free agency, like true depth, pay a little bit less money, get a guy that you know is coming in to be a backup to what you said, like a KO type, something like that, maybe even a little bit more. And then we hit the draft and we draft one. But that's how I just think guard's in a weird spot. And it's not that your point doesn't make sense. I just think guard's in a weird spot.
Yeah.
So defensively, is it a position? Is it a player? Like, what do you?
Is that paid login on That's not over the cap, is it? That's the other one.
Spot track.
Is that what you're on right now?
Yeah, I'm on.
Yeah, because you're getting the predictions of contracts. Sorry, I just wanted to be on the same thing.
Oh, this is their last. This is their last deal.
Bet.
Yeah. And then
I apologize. What were you saying before that?
No. You said you talking about the defense. So I was like, defensively, what's your interest, position wise, or a player that stands out?
Front seven all day. I mean, obviously, Calais Campbell was the guy I got all excited for a little bit earlier, but I mean, there's some other names. There's some premier names, but I don't know. I don't know if they'll be Detroit Lions. I'd love for them to be, obviously, but like I don't know if you made a video on this, Joey Bosa. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Golston went yesterday. Kuntz went yesterday.
Golston went yesterday?
Yeah. I forgot what he signed. I think he went to New York.
I was watching.
And honestly, it was like 2 or 3 years for like just $20 million. It was really a really affordable deal, to be honest. Maybe we are trade for change. That's a move I feel like we could have made.
He was coming off like his best year too. He had like 34 pressures or something. I was watching him last night. I didn't know he even got signed. Now I started goofy when I said that. But
I really like Draymond Jones.
Draymond Jones is interesting.
He got released from Seattle.
This is one I think is super interesting because I think he fits. He fits the style we play, and I think he could fit with Davenport and what's the dude's name? Oh, all right, we're good. Yeah, and he could fit with Davenport and Josh. I don't know what that was. My screen was like, we're reloading. Okay, but he could play that role, but he could also play some of the Barnes role too. Like he's kind of an athlete. He would be perfect because he's a vet to what you're saying, and it would be like he doesn't have to start, but he's also not like coming off an injury. It'd be the price point there for like long term, which would be the problem. But if you give him like 1 year, $7 million, maybe that's where the extra money you have. That's the kind of deals I think the Lions had the advantage of. Guys like that may take a little bit longer. Free agency, I think, is going to be drawn out for the Lions if they start jumping on those kind of moves, because I think those guys are going to be super patient. Like I don't think Draymond Jones is in any kind of hurry because he's trying to figure out what that role is going to look like. And even though he wouldn't come in maybe as a starter, if he had to start because Davenport was out, like that kind of thing, he's capable. So I like Draymond Jones.
I like him a lot. Then you bump inside as well. I'm curious. I want to hear your opinion because you were big on Josh Uche last year. He's still roaming out there. Would you have rather had him over Derrick Barnes, or you like Derrick Barnes' experience in the system?
No, I would have taken Barnes because, well, one, Josh Uche barely played for Kansas City, so I think Uche would be slick to go sign right now. I think you could get him so cheap. I would love to still do it, and I was high on Josh Uche, man. I would still love to do it. I think he's one of the guys we get super cheap. But no, I would take Derrick Barnes just for kind of what we talked about, like run defense one. Like I want to get back against run. Derrick Barnes, it hurt a lot to not have him. We were searching everywhere to find someone that could help us there. That's where he thrives. But two, he's flexible. You know what I mean? Like I'm not putting Uche at off ball. That's gonna be a mess. Mm-hmm. Derrick Barnes, though, that dude has just gotten better and better. Like even with Uche, I can't even say that it's been a consistent uprise. You can say that with Barnes. Like I think Barnes, arguably Eazy, was the most obvious re-signing. Like get that thing done. I just don't think. I think he fits better here than anywhere else. I think he feels more value here than anywhere else. So I think both sides were like, let's just make this happen, dude. Unless if he would have tore something, maybe it changes things. But I feel like that one was pretty straightforward. But like even edge though, we're looking through these names, man. I think this is a spot where like veteran kind of comes into play because Levi's going to get paid a ton. I think we'll see. I think this is where vets come into play because like my camera turned off. I'll turn it back on. I think there's really only like two options. There's like the veteran market, which is the Tremont Jones, or DeMarcus Walker, or something like that, or it's the upside swing, which is like the Azeez Ojulari, where it's like we could put him behind Hutchinson. I'm not a huge Azeez guy, but it's like, all right, if you didn't have to trade for him, you could make that make sense, and he's probably going to be way cheap enough to be like make him the backup to Hutch, and that would fill in kind of that need. So I think that the way that defensive tackle and edge played out, it's played out exactly what the Lions are okay with because it seemed like they knew they weren't going to put big money here anyway. That's what I mean. Is there any defensive line or edge rusher specifically you're targeting? I'm going to throw up defensive tackle here.
I mean, not really none that we kind of already talked about, at least on top of my head. I know there's a few guys released from Seattle. I think one of them may have already signed a deal, but Draymond Jones and Calais Campbell were guys I were fawning over. Yeah. Sebastian Joseph Day was on my list, but he got picked up. I think he got re-signed, actually.
No, I saw that. I think he went to Carolina, dude. I saw that too, and I was told he got re-signed. Then I think he went to Carolina. I'm with you on that. I wanted Sebastian too, and I was like, dang, dude, they signed like every defensive lineman yesterday.
They really did, and then the Vikings did the rest today.
Signed everybody, bro. Carolina's going crazy. So is New England. I
Julian Okwara, would you bring him back?
No.
Not like a cheapski.
He would be cheapski though. You know what you could do? He would be like the guy where you're like, you're not allowed to make the team, but you're camp practice. Like you can try.
Flashes.
Be competition. Yeah.
What do you like about him, Sloppy?
Well, one, he's not consistently on the field. I think that's the first big problem.
Okay.
Like, because he got moved to Arizona, right? He signed with Arizona. I don't think he did much with Arizona.
No, he didn't. He's a free agent. Oh, obviously let him go too. So. Yeah.
He would make sense though, style wise, but I wouldn't give him any like guarantees. It'd just be maybe you compete. But that's kind of the like I think there's a couple of DTs that are like I think Hurst is super interesting from Cleveland because he's actually had 2 good seasons and he can get after the quarterback. I think that would be kind of interesting. I thought about Benito Jones, even though it never really popped with Miami. I always like Benito here.
I
like something like I'd be cool if they brought Benito back. I think there's a couple of dudes like Austin Johnson. I think fits the way that we play. Mike Pennell is a guy that I think he's like the Kyle Peckel move of last year. If we want to do that, I think he'd just make us better against the run, be kind of meh against it.
I see Jonathan Hankins on there.
Jonathan Hankins is on here. I don't know where at, but he's on here.
I would do that.
Old man Hankins. So like that's the market I feel like is kind of strong, man. I think we could jump on that.
Would you like to Marcus
I think
Lawrence?
This spot. Marcus Lawrence is one that I'm kind of on board with. He's coming off a bad year. But I think style-wise, now a couple years ago he's really good. He's a big effort piece too, man. Like he plays really hard. I wouldn't have a problem with it. And price cheap enough, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I just would want an out that way I can move off him because I don't think he'd be a lock to make the team. But if we did bring him in, I'd be okay with that, because I think he could kind of fit to that Davenport role, and I would actually, weirdly enough, have some confidence that he'd be pretty healthy. So if I had an out knowing that he doesn't have to make the team, I'd be cool with that. I think for where edge is kind of so thin right now, I'll be fine with that. I'll ask you about this, though. Linebacker. Talking about getting back against the run. I think this is the same spot. I think it's like there's a couple dudes here that could be super interesting to just bring in.
A lot of athletic guys.
I know that he probably wouldn't because the scheme fit. I think he wants to just go to a team that fits him. That's why he signed in Dallas. But like, if Eric Hendrickson wanted to come to the Lions, bro, I'm on board with that. That's happening. That'd be a money signing for us. If he's cool being a backup.
The Eagles too. The whole Zach Bond thing. If you get the front four right, the back three are tremendous. Zach Bond was a special team. He signed there for a $1 million deal and became an All-Pro.
And it feels like, it feels like they landed not they landed, but like it was the perfect fit for him. Because like at Wisconsin, he was such a big coverage piece, and I feel like with Philly, they like let him do that, and they just leaned into it. Like I almost feel like they took responsibility off of like, oh, you have to be on a line and play the run. Like that idea was kind of pulled back. Andre Campbell.
He's more like he's old.
Neville Hewitt would be another one. He was great last year, and that Houston defense was awesome. I was surprised that he was even available. They didn't bring him back. 32 years old, though. If he's trying to come and be a backup, like that's the kind of player I'd be cool with. So I think there's a few on here. I keep trying to sell people. I mean, not on Devin White as much, but like I think Devin White would be interesting because he give us a blitzing linebacker, and he's from Tampa Bay. So I'm like, that would be pretty cool. But I keep trying to sell people on Devin Bush too. I don't know if he's signed yet. Yeah, Devin Bush out of Cleveland. Like, and Bush actually is coming off a pretty good year. Like, both of those guys, bro, both those dudes would be real interesting. You get him on it. This would be that'd be a true proven deal.
For 10 years. How's he only 26? That's crazy.
And it's something different. Like easy. What's the thing that you think our linebackers are the worst at? Run defense, pass coverage, blitzing. What do you think they're the worst at?
Is it bad to say blitzing?
Like our off-ball linebackers. No, that's what it is. I completely agree. So, to me, Devin White or Devin Bush, two guys like they get after the quarterback, especially Devin White. That's what he did forever. And keep in mind this with Devin White. Just throw this out there. He also has overlap with two of our defensive assistants that both coached at LSU. Caleb Chasen as well. He's a free agent. I think Caleb Chasen would be a sneaky prove it too.
You go deep in this.
We got two. Well, just hit me. I was thinking we got two guys from LSU that were both coached there, and they played in that defensive style, which I think is what we're seeing now. That's why we brought Miles Adams back. I think we're going to more of that. You know, we're going to live in that gap and a half style. But you get a true speed edge rusher like Caleb who they had, who was their stand up, but their off balls that blitzed a lot. Devin White, who was Patrick Queen. Like, I think stylistically, our whole defensive line after seeing Miles Adams comes back, I think those guys are what the lines are looking for. So to me, anybody with those connections become interesting. And I think a blitzing linebacker is the one thing that we're kind of like, we don't really have that. And it'd be cool.
I think the reason too is, I mean, that the one guy you would pick out of our group is Derrick Barnes. And when he went down last year, we had nothing at all, even similar to replace that. So I wouldn't be surprised if they grab either an athletic guy that could turn into that or a guy that has already done that.
Yeah. Okay. Easy. And they, they're still going like Dotson more like true.
They're like teaching those guys every position back there too, I feel like every one of our linebackers played every single linebacker spot. Maybe outside of Jack. Has Jack played the will yet? Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, he did. Oh, he's bounced around.
He did.
But he was playing on the line a year ago. Yeah, everybody's played everywhere.
So get an athlete. And the
I think one of these linebackers are coming, dude. Yeah. I think it should. I think that should happen. Okay. I feel like we kind of hit on everything here. Safety. Safety was the other one. We need depth. We need depth. And these dudes stay available forever. We saw that last year. Like veteran safeties are available forever.
There's so many good ones too, like really good ones.
Safety. Justin Simmons just does not ever get signed for some reason. I'll tell you what, the one that I was watching last night that I thought was interesting was he might be gone. All right, never mind on that.
Who was it?
Gone? It was Juan Thornhill. He might be gone though. Maybe. I don't know if he signed this one. Oh, our boy Will Harris is available. Easy.
He just signed just now.
Oh, wait, Will did?
Yeah.
Good for him.
So you want more of a strong safety or free safety, or one of each?
I want both.
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, I want both. But not bad. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying who do we have right now?
Lauren Strickland. We don't have anybody.
We'll bring back that kid from last year who got the DUI. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, Joseph. Brandon Joseph. I mean, I know he messed up, but I don't know. Yeah, he was good. He was good. I liked him. There's a couple
I guess something like that was before a game too. Wasn't like a Saturday night it happened or something, or Friday night?
I don't remember, to be honest, but it may have been. Gone. Like anybody that can like Jalen Hawkins, like someone like that. They're long and they have the range. Like I feel like every safety we need has to be able to do two things. I feel like it's hard to get a guy that can't, but maybe for depth they don't need that because their depth is a little bit more straight. Oh, we have Mo Norris too. Let me throw that out there. They're just young, so I think you got to add a vet, at least one, and you got to add a vet like Derek Forrest. You go add a Von Bell would be interesting. Like Von Bell was with he's more of your box guy, but he has connections here. And then I think Jalen Hawkins, someone like that, would be pretty cool. Yeah,
he was with Brad in LA, isn't he?
Davis. He plays in the slot. What's up?
Wasn't Nick Scott in LA with Brad?
He was in LA. Yeah, I don't know if that was with Brad though.
I think it was after.
He was in LA though. May have been after. Julian Blackman, like he's big body safety, like something like that would be a good spot to take a swing on. I just think we need a guy that can do a little bit of both. That's kind of where I'm at.
At all.
Yeah,
I mean that I feel like it will fall to you in the draft too, though.
A little safety.
You're right, though. It's still you need someone.
I just want one veteran, just one. Just give me one guy that
We need it too. You know, it's not like even like a. Oh, it'd be cool to have one. No, we need the depth.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, we don't really have anybody, bro. I have Mike Edwards on one. Tashawn Gibson's always available. I ain't gonna talk about him no more. But like Mike Edwards for Tampa Bay, like someone like that, where it's like, yeah, we're gonna get him on a minimum deal. But they've kind of made that work with safety. Like I feel like they get a lot out of their safeties. Bring in a vet, they're all available. So I feel like the free agency class is actually working out for what we kind of need outside of guard, to be honest. But for the most part, I think it's working out pretty well. And then, all right, I'll wrap it with this. Wide receiver, because I haven't got your take on this. I know this was like some people wanted it, some people don't. I still want Tim Patrick back.
Yeah, we need
that happens. Is there someone? There's some dudes out here, bro. Is there someone that like you're interested in that's not Tim Patrick?
I mean, yeah, but they're not like realistic. I mean, I don't know if they're realistic, but I feel like D-Hop, Reynolds, I'd bring back home. Obviously, you already said Tim Patrick. Just those 6 foot guys, those contested catch it guys.
Amari Cooper.
Obviously, Jamo's really fast, and Amara, I guess you could say catches some contested balls. I'd say so, but he also is like gets really really open. We need somebody who is just going to climb a defender in the end zone and just grab that thing for a touchdown.
That's my guy right
or
here.
third and
Nick
long.
Westbrook.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
Huge. How big is he? How tall is he?
I think he's like 6'3". Maybe I can click on it and see.
Oh my goodness, that'd be a filthy signing.
It would be filthy. See, that's what I'm talking about. We're on the same page. I heard Allen Robinson might retire also. I saw that.
I saw that too. DJ Chark?
Yeah. DJ Chark, like there's dudes, there's like 3 guys that have been with us.
He can't stay healthy though.
I still like him though. You can bring me DJ Chark. I'm cool with it.
I like DJ Chark.
You know what I mean? That dude's tough. Bro, and I think you know what? This actually could be the offseason to do it because I think Warren's going to take a lot more one-on-one shots. DJ Chark, but this might be the year to go bring him back because wasn't DJ Chark here the year that John Moore was here, 2022? That was the year he was here. So that would be maybe the time to go run it back. I'm not big on Lockett. I don't think Lockett really has it anymore, to be honest. I've only watched a couple games. I don't think he's got the juice anymore. I think there's a reason they cut him. Vision Stealth with a 2-piece. I see you, Vision Stealth. I missed one too. I would love to get Calais Campbell and Dante Fowler or Azeez Ojulari, then re-sign Kevin, draft first edge, second DT, third O-line. Oh boy. Draft first edge. I hear what you're saying. Like if we had to put a position to it, that makes sense. I would like Calais Campbell. Not really big on Fowler or Azeez, to be honest, but either one would be cool. More Azeez for me because I think if I'm gonna put someone behind Hutch like that's with something like that, I'd probably go young. At least Azeez he's going to be on the field more often, so I'd probably go that route. But Calais would be fire. I don't think there's a person Chad, who's against Calais Campbell? All right, let me know who doesn't want Calais Campbell. I think everybody would be cool with that. If Micah gets more than 40, what should Hutch get? 41. Hey, what the most? Like he's going to get the most, man. I missed a lot of these. I feel like I like Dan Mitchell's take on signing Calais. Miami's also cap situation, so that could help us get him. What are your thoughts? Yeah, Miami's in a tragic situation. They just signed Zach Wilson, so they're good, bro. They're good.
What did you say when he was talking about Ojulari? I missed what you said about that one.
I like him as a signing. I didn't like him as a trade. I thought that his production was way overinflated. I didn't think he was like that good last year.
Isn't he more like a Sam? Like was he like when he come here and play linebacker? I don't know if he'd come here and play.
Yeah, you probably would put him at linebacker. Yeah,
that's why
you put him on pass downs at the end. But yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, you're right.
No, you're good. Okay, cool. Because I took him out of my mind. I was like, that's a guy I'm putting in the pile where I'm not even worried about guys. Yeah. All right, cool. I figured as much.
Yeah, that's how I look at him too. I mean, I don't know. You could put him on the ball, but even at what was he at LSU? He was like really slim. Boyd's better than Patrick to you? Ooh, Boyd had a rough year last year with Tennessee, but he was in Tennessee. Save Campbell from the Florida Popo. Okay. If we can get Patrick back, we should get Zay Jones. People love Zay Jones, man. There's a lot of receivers. I think it's just how the NFL is. And keep in mind, this is not the best draft class for receivers. I heard someone say it's like loaded. Not really loaded, but it is especially at the top, it's not great. I'm surprised there's as many guys available, but I think this is the future of receivers. Like, dudes are not once you get to a certain age, it's just like there's no market anymore. It just falls off. It's receiver in some way. I think Easy's gonna start turning into running back, where you're gonna
I
get
think
like
he
a couple
should.
dudes get paid.
I think it was
Middle
always
ground's gonna fall off.
backwards because like I
Yeah.
feel like you'd almost fight a receiver every single year, anywhere in the draft, like anywhere. Amon-Ra is one of those guys. Stephon Diggs is one of those guys. I don't know when Keenan Allen was drafted. Mark Cooper's first round. Yeah, I feel like those guys. I don't know if it's because like 7-on-7s these days or what, but like they come ready. Them and running backs. But if you get a really good running back, like a 3-down running back, I think it's just as valuable, if not more, than a wide receiver because it helps open up things for the wide receivers.
Yeah, I think so too. And now like we were talking about Gibbs, and I'm like, yo, I wouldn't extend him early. Just as a side note, like I would give him the 5th year, and I would just ride it out and pay him late. Like I'm cool if I have to overpay him then, just because it's like the health kind of factor with the running back. That's the one spot I would not pay early. But I also I agree with what you're saying. I think over the next few years we're going to start to see that where like J-Mo's contract is going to be super interesting. See how they decide to work that out, because I think that there's going to be a real middle ground with receivers. You're going to get number ones get paid, number twos I think are going to stop getting paid, and we're seeing like DK Metcalf get moved, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
and most teams are going to have that vision of like, we're not paying number twos. If we feel like he's number 2, he's not getting paid.
I think we're watching some of it now. Like a lot of these number twos, like T. Higgins is going to become someone else's number 1. Christian Kirk was a number 2. I think it was in Arizona that he became, Jacksonville's number 1.
Yeah,
and he became an obsolete number 2 because of Brian Thomas. So it's like, yeah, like these number 2s will bounce around, hopefully become number 1 somewhere else. But at the same time,
I think
too much. Go draft someone.
And see, that's where you get the problem, right? Those teams that overpay the number 2 to be a number 1, then it's like, well, shoot, he's not actually that guy. Like he's got a role, but you got to have a dude opposite. Yeah, man. I think that honestly, like my hot take yesterday, I think Pickens gets traded. I think they're gonna move off him because I don't think they're gonna.
I have no clue how those two coexist. As a coach, dude, on the football team, I don't even. They're going to be jumping
Aaron Rodgers
at the end of running plays. Yeah. Then you're bringing Aaron Rodgers or Shedeur Sanders. Come on, that'd be too much. And they both wear 14s. Like that's a fight right there. Like DK's gonna come in like, all right, I'll fight you for it. George will be like, all right, I'll fight you for it. Off rip.
That's crazy, bro. I never even thought about that. There's gonna be a fight for numbers. No, bro. My bold take was this: Steelers trade George Pickens to pick swap with Carolina, and they get up to 8 and they take Sanders. That's because they gotta get a quarterback at some point. And I just feel like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Dude. I don't think anybody wants Rodgers.
The people, it's becoming like more and more. Oh no, yeah, because the Raiders went and got Geno Smith. I thought he was a lock to the Raiders, and now I don't know. Now he feels like a lock to the Steelers.
That's like them and the Giants like the only like landing spots left.
Mm-hmm.
And the Colts just signed Daniel Jones. But like if I'm a coach, if you were a coach, there is no shot I'm signing Aaron Rodgers. Like I'm just not doing it. I'll figure something else out. I'm not signing Rodgers. I'm not running Aaron Rodgers' offense. Like, nah, bro. It's just I feel like you lose all control of your team. It's not
bingo. That's it. If I could bring you in and you're running what we got going on, if you're willing to learn it, cool. If we're doing that Nathaniel Hackett bullshit, you're not
that's what it's gonna
be.
Yeah, I don't trust it to be that guy either.
When they signed Nathaniel Hackett to be their offensive coordinator, I was like, oh, they're screwed. That was a terrible hire.
Rodgers waiting on the Vikings. I hope he signs with the Vikings, bro, just to cause disruption there, dude.
Nathaniel Hackett was never a coach. He was just Aaron Rodgers' buddy.
Yeah. That's why I would stay away from him, dude. I ain't messing with all that.
No.
Let me. I saw some in the chat and I missed it. It's cool. Shout out to the chat, man. We got Chicken Nugget King in here. I always see you on Instagram, man. This guy was hyped up yesterday. Did you see him? He was like singing or something with DJ Reed.
Really? I missed it. Chicken Nugget King's all over LNU. He's our guy.
He's fired up, dude. Love it, man. Jack, grade the let's do that real quick, and then we can wrap this up whenever. I don't want to keep this too long. I know I have to dip out like a little bit before 2 at worst, but I want to ask you about DJ Reed.
Anyways, we do that.
Okay, I want to ask you about DJ Reed.
Okay,
grade the signing. Initial reaction grade.
It depends how you want to look at it. As a player, I said B plus.
Okay.
given
B
the
plus
situation we were in, A plus, like for sure. Like you lose Carlton Davis, and then you grab like the 1B, 1C in the open market for $4 million less than the other two guys. Like it was, I would, and obviously preference is involved, and I do think Carlton Davis is better, just straight up. But like availability, that's a thing too, right? So like I thought Carlton Davis, Chavez Ward, and DJ Reed were like a three-way tie for the best corner of the market. You got one of those guys for significantly lower than the market value of the other two. That's a W in my book. That's an A plus.
So when we were talking, that's why I bring it up, because you were talking. I was like, Carlton's not getting 20 a year, and then he gets 20 a year. Shout out to New England for paying him. That's gonna be. I think it's great because Carlton reminds me of Gonzalez a little bit. But I think the way I'm looking at it,
and they both can't stay healthy.
Yeah, that's a problem. So that's huge, because I think from the price tag spot, that's the only reason I thought he wouldn't get 20. Is like, this dude he's gonna miss 5 games a year. Like, you can't pay that $20 million a year. But I think from what it's also a reason why DJ Reed probably got paid less. I don't think he fits every team. Like Carlton, I could probably put on every team and be like, hey, we can make this work. I feel like DJ Reed, you can't do that. There's some teams that are like, we don't want that. We don't want 5'9", 190, runs a 4.5. We don't want that. But the Lions are like one of those teams that are like, actually, that's exactly how we play. 11 penalties, that's our guy. Like that, they're like, dude, that's how we play corner. We want a guy that's super physical. We want to just like not give any airspace and just make him make great throws. I feel like that's been the Lions like staple to becoming such a good coverage team, allowing the lowest completion percentage in football like year after year now. Is that's all they try to do is make every pass tight window. And I think that's way more DJ Reed than that's Carlton. So, and then let's say Carlton can't do that because Carlton was, with Tampa, and when he did it, he was great. So he worked for us. But I think DJ Reed actually fits the Lions probably better than any other team. Do you think, how do I say this? Like, do you think that moving off, or not moving off, but do you think they felt that it was an upgrade for them? Not maybe as just a player, but do you think they felt like we're getting better here? Or do you think it was like, if it's the same price, we're going Carlton over DJ? Or was the $4 million the
$4 million,
he didn't want to come back? Like,
yeah. Because I mean, really, again, I think Carlton is better than DJ. He's just a little bit more physical. He can still play that man coverage. I think he's obviously better on bigger receivers. But definitely, availability, along with the $4 million extra per year, that's just going to take you out of it every time, especially when we got Aiden Hutchinson, Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, and that whole entire draft class next year is going to be due come up next offseason. So, like,
so you think if it was 16 both, they would have went Carlton?
I think it's a money, yeah,
same deal
for sure.
There
was a report that tried to make a last-ditch effort. I don't know what that was, but they wanted Carlton back. He wanted to get paid. Though.
Yeah, I think so too. I feel like, I don't know. Well, I'm with you. I think they would have been. I don't know that I thought they think if they had them both for the same deal, they would have taken Carlton. Just I think the only reason I think I would have thought that is because he was already here, so they knew it was good. And Brad said it's known goods. It works. Yeah. But I think like if they were both coming out of the draft and you hadn't seen them play for the Lions, I think they would draft DJ Reed. Like if they knew what they knew and it was like you just take their production everywhere else, put them in the draft, I think they would draft DJ Reed. And that's why I say that thing about Gonzo, because when I think about it, it reminds me like I like Gonzo more than Witherspoon. But the Lions reportedly were like we heard they were going to take Witherspoon if he was there. I think for them they would have preferred DJ Reed. That's why. And I also just a side thing like size wise. To you're saying about bigger receivers, like Carlton's, he's built to deal with bigger receivers. DJ is kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
I think that they're kind of looking at that as, hey, Terrion's good against the bigger receivers. Like that's, I mean, that play sticks in my mind. I don't remember who's against. I feel like a back shoulder fade and the dude just like gets up there with him, breaks it up. Like I know he's not the biggest corner, but he's so like darn explosive. He's a leaper. DJ Reed is like not that at all. I feel like they kind of looked at it as this actually might be better for Terrion because matchup wise, we can put him on the bigger guy. And that actually might fit better for Terrion because one thing I always think is so tough to find for a man defense is a cornerback, especially that can play wide, that can deal with the shifty receivers. It's so tough to deal with. That's why those guys cook at the Senior Bowl. It's like you have to have help. They're just going to cook. DJ Reed's like one of those unique pieces where it's like he's actually kind of built to deal with. He deals with that better than he deals with the big dudes, and that's rare. So and do you think, it's an early question, I haven't seen enough to make a case on this or not. Do you think there's potential flexibility? Like I know he used to play safety. He's played slot 2020 he played some slot. Do you think they see flexibility here? Because I know they have it with Amik, they have it with Rakestraw, so they don't need it. But do you think like they view that as an upside part?
I mean, it definitely helps. I obviously I still think Carlton's a better player. I think he's a better cornerback than DJ Reed, but he's just never really available. He's definitely more flexible for sure. I read something where he hated playing safety, like he wasn't good at it, and that's why half the reason he got cut, other than the injury. But then obviously he wanted to be corner the entire time. He played corner in college too. That's what he wanted to be. That's what he's best at. And obviously we're seeing that now too. But he for sure could bounce inside if he needed it. I think Ennis is like more of an outside guy too. From when we talked to him at camp when we went last year, he was telling me like, yeah, I mean like the thing he didn't like about the inside is like it's new for him because he was used to being an outside guy. There's a lot more space for the receiver, quarterback to work with, and for him a lot more area for him to cover when he plays inside versus outside.
I'm with you on that because I thought like he did both in college. Like it was always weird. Like you see him bounce inside and out, but it was like his skill set feels like more of a wide corner. It's just the speed. People are going to say, oh, he's got to be a slot. He doesn't have the long speed. But now with Terrion and DJ, they're all kind of in that same boat.
Terrion Carlton, like they kind of forced him to, if he was going to get a spot and just get your best players on the field, it was probably going to be doing it out with Amik. I thought he could have won over Terrion in camp last year. I'm not going to lie. Ennis.
He was great in camp, man. That was
I really thought he could have. I really was
what the heck?
Not rooting for him. That's where I would have put my money at that point,
Just watching me freeze. That's crazy. No, dude, and that's why I wonder about that because I'm just like, you're not signing DJ to play slot, but like I got to a point where I was like a Mike Hilton, like would it make if they were gonna go corner, could they just go with their best slot corner and then just be like, hey, we want to keep Amik outside? Because I think there's a strong case Amik's better outside too. It's like, yeah, just leave him there. If we sign another outside corner.
Honestly, yeah. It's a smaller sample size, but even with the Raiders, I feel like he had a better year his last year with the Raiders on the outside than he did on the inside with us.
Yeah.
You agree?
So now it's like, I completely agree. So now, and it's like he's capable inside, but it's like now it's because you didn't bring Iffy back. Because I would have looked at this. If they would have told Iffy like, yo, Branch is playing slot next year, you can play safety. You're a starter. I think he would have signed back. I don't know if these conversations happened, but I would have thought he'd be like, cool. But he didn't. Honest, so I assume that didn't happen.
Terrion played the star position in Alabama. He could play inside.
He could. I wouldn't do it, but he could. But I hear what you're saying. We got all the guys that can, but is anybody their best there? That's the question, right? Like it's like
I think Branch is the only
that's where it's weird. And I think Branch is better at safety.
He's just the best out of the guys.
All of the guys. But he was better at safety, right? Than he was at slot. Especially last year. So now I wonder, man. Like, bro, it's tough to play. So now I wonder, it's like, yo, could we see in the draft, surprisingly, what if the Lions at 28 took a safety?
That kid out of the Boston College or
South Carolina?
South Carolina, Nick. How do you say his last name? It's
Eman. That's how I say it, Eman Wari. Someone like that.
He's a freak athlete. He ran.
There's a couple options.
He ran Calvin numbers at the combine. They were saying,
dude,
he's like 6 foot something too.
Massive. Yeah, he's a dog, and it's like someone like that. I mean, there's the option. Obviously, Starks is probably going to go somewhere that range. Xavier Watts, like even if it wasn't the top pick, Xavier Watts, I like him a lot. I don't know if he's as good in man, but like you expect that to be able to take a little bit of a step back. I just wonder if like because you never know with Brad, bro. He took a linebacker, and he even said like now he said recently like, oh, we didn't need a linebacker. Could the Lions take a safety? I mean, we're all thinking edge. But we know it's deep.
Draft best player available, but hands down.
And it could be a safety. He could say that's our best player. Whoever that safety is was right there at 28, so we took him. And it's like this could shake out interestingly. Shake out well. I don't know. I think it's interesting though, but maybe not because I guess that's where to leave it on that. That's where the flexibility is good because at least then you don't have to, but because Amik will play inside, Rakestraw will play inside, but you can. You can then just move guys.
Yeah, and for context too, like so these are the guys after Terrion. Because I don't think they drafted Terrion as like, oh, we need a cornerback. I think they truly thought he's also the best guy on the board. Morgan. Actually, I really like Graham Barton. I would have been mad at that one. Graham Barton, Darius Robinson, Xavier Worthy, Tyler Guyton. Nate Wiggins, too.
Wait, you're just reading names?
I guess I'm doing
You're just
no,
reading
because at that
names?
time Terrion was ranked above both those guys. Maybe not Graham Barton, but he was over Wiggins, or at least tied with him.
So what are you saying? Are you saying like, or are you just like thinking like guys we could have taken
No,
instead?
I'm trying to figure out if he reached for Terrion because he also happened to play cornerback, or if he truly just went and just was like, oh, it's a great guy to get right here, you know?
Oh, okay. Wait, do the names again. Do the names again.
What do you?
Who are the names right behind him?
Yeah, actually, I'll do this.
Okay. Lions signed Emmanuel Mosley.
Jordan Morgan.
Maybe he did.
Would we be surprised?
No. No. So I'm like, wait. Maybe they did. I don't know. I mean,
I would know.
He just saying it. Chat, is this true? I'd be surprised a little bit.
So.
But...
Oh no.
Also, real quick, while he's
Trey.
doing that, shout out to my man Stephen V. I heard a potential culture fit issue with Eazy. I cannot add any context. I have no idea. Eazy might be. I mean, Eazy's got his ear to the ground on this stuff.
What?
Eazy might know. Eazy might have been beefing with him on X. So there's a real chance. He says that he might be a potential culture fit. I guess.
No, I don't think so.
I have no idea. I loved Iffy, but I don't know.
Not to a detriment. All right, so Jordan Morgan.
Right.
I'd say no. I would say Terrion's right. Graham Barton, I would actually probably. I'd say no.
You could understand why they didn't. He was trying to figure out what position he was even going to play, so you could understand it.
Exactly.
Marvin.
James Robinson, hell no. I never liked that.
Oh, I love Darius Robinson. I would have been cool with Darius Robinson.
Did not love Darius Robinson at all. I don't know if we had that talk or not last year.
I was a big Darius.
I was not Darius.
Yeah, we must not have, bro. I was a big Darius guy. That's weird. I feel like we didn't talk
Unless
about
we took
that.
him, if we took him as like a defensive tackle, sure.
No.
Xavier Worthy.
Let's not
Go
go.
ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm starting stuff. No, I would have just put him in the Josh Pascal role. But
That's
we
fair.
had a Davenport, so
I feel like I didn't like his get off like at all.
No,
Like,
it wasn't that. But it was like
it was
it was. He definitely didn't have a great get off. There's no doubt.
I'm big on that though. That's
Positions. Hey, it's a critical factor. Got to get off the ball.
I don't think they would have taken Xavier Worthy. I don't think they would have taken Taylor Guyton. I think Nate Wiggins could have been in conversation, but he was really small.
It wasn't their style. That's a cornerback. They got a style. Arnold's their style. I don't think Nate Wiggins
thicker dudes that play the run, but he plays the run. Nate Wiggins is just skinny, scrawny guy.
Plays the run. He doesn't attack it though. I felt like I'm with you. Like he had like those couple plays, remember, where he like chased dudes down, but I feel like he wasn't an attacker. He was kind of like Slay. I'll be honest. He doesn't attack the run.
Mm-hmm. Then Ricky Pearsall and Xavier Leggett, which at that point, I'm putting myself in last year's shoes. By the way, I would have taken Terrion over them at that point.
Completely agree. I remember I think you were a pretty big Leggett guy. Right?
Maybe what'd you say? Yeah.
Were you a big guy? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Terrion here.
Cooper DeJean, this from Zach, says Cooper DeJean ended up being better than expected based on where he's drafted for sure. I agree, but I also think he's in the perfect spot too. But I think we lost Dion. Let's put our heads down.
All right, Eazy, I didn't hear what you said. I apologize about Cooper. I don't know what you said.
No,
you took it off the screen. Oh, okay.
No, I think Cooper fell to the perfect spot, but he's also really good. If you even go back to our shows, I'm pretty sure my stance always was he'll be an elite nickel or safety in the league.
Cooper was so good in college, bro. He was so good in college. But he went round two. It was, yeah, we did okay. As you got to remind people, hey, it's not a 1-year draft pick. It's 4 years. Give it some time.
Exactly.
Some guys take a second. Ooh. He's going to take a second because what you're saying, like, he wasn't just a pure wide corner at Alabama. He was also he was a 3-year player coming out. Like, this is still pretty new, and you can at least point to he got better. Like, at least you didn't walk away at the end here like, oh, this guy was tragic at the end of the season. Like, no, he got better. People didn't just – so I'm optimistic. I think he's going to be a dog.
When they asked Calvin Shepard, they interviewed him and said who on this defense could take that leap like Jack Campbell did, and he was quick to say Terrion. And then in the southern accent, he's from Georgia, said, "There's so much meat left in that bone that he don't even know." And the way they got me hyped up for Terry on. And I was the guy that was kind of like falling off of projections. But at the same time, he was like you said, he was project. He's more project than people like thought he was. That's why a lot of those defenders went late. A lot of those guys were set in stone. If they would have been drafted top 10, you know?
Yep. And I still believe, people don't believe it, he's gonna be the best corner we get out of this. 4 years later, he's gonna be better than Mitchell. People will be like, yeah, Terry was the guy. We'll see. I think he's going to be.
We got to see.
Because look,
Nate Wiggins is pretty good too now.
Nate Wiggins is good, bro. Nate Wiggins is good. I could see. Yeah, Nate Wiggins.
Pause, Marvin. Yes, that's why I remember exactly what I said. Yeah, you don't even know. There's so much meat on that bone.
Hey, Terry, you know what he is though? He might have the best ball skills of any corner we have. He probably does. So he's got to. That's where his step needs to go. He's got to start taking the ball away, because he's got more than. He's got 6 picks in his career.
Mm. No, you're right.
That's it. I mean, he had none last year, so it's like, my camera keeps turning off, bro. I don't know
if he can get his damn head around though, that would help.
That's a little bit disrespectful. That was actually kind of unnecessary.
Is it not correct?
What do you think about re-signing Okudah?
All right. Well, guys, thanks for joining. We appreciate you.
It's a good transition. Let's go right to Okudah. You said that. I say Okudah.
Make sure you smash the like button on your way out. Yeah, I can get his camera right anyway. Do you want me to sign off?
This is a disaster. I'm gonna be honest with you. No, someone brought it up. They brought it up to me. They're like, "What about Okudah, man?" It's like, I don't know, dude. I don't think I'd go get Okudah. There's a debate yesterday. It was heated. Everybody wanted Jeff back.
A lot of people hate him. I tell you what. If I was running things, bring him back. Work it out. Let's see what you got. But I'm not. But I'm also not signing him to be a starter. You know what I'm saying? I'm not signing him to be anything other than.
So you're signing Jeff Okudah back over Emmanuel
Mosley? You have to reassess your expectations for what he's going to be on your football team. A tremendous special teamer, for sure.
That's real. What do you think? Mosley and Okudah, same price. Which one are you going?
Man, Mosley's just breaking down before our eyes. I dabbed him up at training camp, and his hand like a Thanos snap. It was crazy.
Man, that's crazy.
Okudah would be he'd be a really good special teamer. Tell me I'm lying.
No, he would be. He would be a dog. He'd be like a missile on special team.
And that's what people would have to deal with. They'd have to get it out of their head about him playing cornerback at all. Just he's a special teamer.
Dude, he'd be tough on special teams. That's facts. That's so facts.
Maybe a little bit.
Let's bring back Hefe, man. Let's do it. That way, he's ready for the playoffs.
We can't call him Hefe. He doesn't need any cool nicknames anymore. He has to earn that.
That's true. That's fair. I'm with bringing him back now. You sold me. Special teams would be fun to watch him. All right. I see all the DeMarcus Lawrence things. I mean, okay, last point, then we'll get out here. I'm okay with DeMarcus Lawrence. He's a veteran. He's coming off a bad year. I'm okay with it. It fits. But for me, the price point would have to be under $5 million a year. Have to be under $5 million. It'd be a 1 year deal. So, any last take before we wrap this up, man? Chat, we appreciate you joining, by the way, on LNU.
No, it's the same thing. Appreciate everyone for hopping on. I'll be on 5 to 7. We'll be heavyweights. We'll be talking some hockey after last night as well, too. But we got to get you back on once we're close to the draft. Oh, are we doing a thing Thursday? We'll find out off there and then announce it.
Where did you want to do that? Here or did you want to do that here?
You can split them.
Is it the plan?
They don't care if we split them.
I was just asking wherever you wanted it to. I didn't honestly. I didn't know. Like I didn't. Did we talk about that before? Like today? Because I feel like you said it. I was like, oh,
yeah, I just mentioned it. Yeah, let's talk about it. We'll announce it.
Oh, we can announce it. I'm down. Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Mock draft Thursday.
Mock draft Thursday. Yes. We'll hopefully we have a better idea of where our team's at. Yeah. I want to do. I would. Yeah, I'm ready for mock drafts, bro. I love it. All right, stay tuned.
Are we doing a 1 to 32 or just Lions picks?
Probably. I don't know. Should we do Lions because it's after free agency? I mean, we could do 1 through 32. 1 to 32 would be easier, to be honest, at this point. But I'll do either. I mean, I don't know what you're more knowledgeable on is like Lions fits or just the first round in general. I'm pretty comfortable with the first round. I'm doing it for weeks.
We'll talk off air. We'll do one, but we'll look at the detail. We'll iron out the details.
Okay, that works. So stay tuned for that. And shout out to Eazy, man. He was on here for a while. We were on here for a while. We'll be back if there's news that drops. I do have to head to the doctor, but then I'll be back, and then we'll see if anything goes down. So stay tuned for that. Welcome back, Miles Adams. Congratulations, and
I'm